Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Content Revolution. We are about to have, let's say, 3 hours full of fun, excitement, and a lot of value. As you can see, this is no typical webinar because I'm really not a fan of typical webinar platforms. And if you've ever had any of my products, I'm just gonna spend a minute inviting you guys. If you've ever bought any of my products or if you've ever been coached by me personally, then you know very well that my goal in business is to make things really, really simple for every single one of you. Hey James, hey David, Lacey, Ju, hello everybody. Hey Sean, throw me a 1 if you're watching me live, alright? Throw me a 2 if you're watching the replay of this. I want to see how many live and replay viewers we got. And Ju is the first one to comment, of course. Hi everybody. Alright, thank you for the hearts. So I was just reminding you guys, this is no typical training. Feel free to ask questions throughout the broadcast. If I don't reply, that just means I'm leaving it for a better moment. There will be a Q&A section in the end as well, so make sure you stay for that. The replay will always be available to you, all right? Also, in the end, one of you lucky people will win free access to my branding course, and one of you already won access to my Instagram course. I believe that was Lacey, wasn't it? Yay, lots of live viewers. All right. So guys, the reason I named this the Content Revolution is because everybody seems to be doing the same thing online when it comes to content creation. Everybody is using the exact same language, creating the same posts, using the same post structures. I made this a very limited training because I wanted to share my personal tactics with you. And these tactics are not used throughout social media, believe me. They're only used by a very few of my one-on-one coaching clients. And obviously, this is my way of doing things. It's not my way or the highway, all right? Everybody has their own way. My way is not the only one that works, but I'm super excited to share it with you in the next few hours. I promised you 3 hours. Who knows, it may turn into more. My trainings tend to always go overboard, all right? If you have any questions, comments, whatsoever, throw them in the comment section and I'll make sure I check them out, all right? Now, let me know if you can see my screen properly. We can begin with the content revolution. Before we begin, in case somebody here doesn't know me very well, I know a few of you came from outside of my network, so just a quick thing. As you know, I'm a brand strategist. I tend to speak about branding 24/7. Nothing gives me more pleasure, literally, to the point where it's weird. I'm an international speaker. I've been in business for a few years now, but I never really took my business seriously until January 2017. So it's been about a year where I've been laser focused and my business has been my priority. And I managed to build a 6-figure business in that time. So it's been really, really exciting. It's been really difficult at times and challenging, but I'm here now. And hey, Christopher, and I'm about to share with you how I did it in terms of social media. I've been an international speaker for also about a year and a half now, or 2 years. I've spoken all over the world. Next year, I'm hitting 4 continents, and I absolutely love it. You may have seen my sloth around here. I'm weird like that. And I'm the founder of the only online branding community that is global. We have people of over 20 countries in there, and it's called the Badass Brand Squad. This is always the slides, by the way, that I show when I'm up on the stage because it's me in a nutshell. You know, it's the fact that I became location independent in 1.5 months tends to be the thing that impresses people the most, so that's why it's there. Hey Desiree, oh my god, I love your name. All right. Our agenda for today is really, really simple. We're going to start, obviously, with the branding essentials, simply because even though this training is not focused on branding, that doesn't mean that I'm going to leave you up to dry and I'm not going to go through every single aspect of building a brand strategy briefly, because we will be focused on social media. This is not one of my typical trainings. It's the first and probably the last time I do it like this, at least, because I don't like to repeat my teachings unless it's a one-on-one environment. All right, those of you who have my course, you know that very well. Some of the content from the course is implemented in this training, but there are plenty of new things for you guys. So Don't worry about that, because I know quite a few of you have my branding course. Hey, Donna, glad to have you here. All right, so we're gonna go through what a brand strategy comprises of, and we're going to go through audience growth tactics. I asked most of you in a private message, what's the one thing that's really challenging for you? And coming from a person who is close to hitting the 100,000 people milestone, yes, I almost have 100,000 people following me online. You guys told me that growing your audience has been really difficult for you, especially getting to that first 10,000 people. So we're definitely going to go through some tactics, some growth tactics that I have prepared for you. And then we're going to go through a couple of really important things, like the 4 pillars of authority, these are all methods that I personally came up with. You cannot find this being taught by anybody else. So I'm really happy to have you here because I rarely share this. Some of these things are not even in my course that you guys have, all right? I'm going to walk you through my personally developed Zoom method of creating your social media strategy. And of course, what all of you are waiting for, I'm going to walk you through exactly how I sell on social media without being sleazy. I'm going to walk you through the entire post structure that I use, the 3 types of posts that I use, how I write them, and I'm even going to show you how to repurpose content without copy pasting it. In fact, there's something that's not listed here that is a nice bonus for me because two of you actually asked for that, so I decided to implement it last minute. So I tried to implement every single thing you guys said last night and today into what I already had, so here it comes. Now, before we start, I want you to prepare yourselves for something that I know you're not used to having, right? What is the first thing that you need to be prepared for when you attend anybody's webinar or live training? What do you guys think it is? Like, what is the one thing that when you hop over to a webinar, you absolutely expect is gonna happen? Maybe it's in the end, maybe it's in the middle, but you know it's gonna happen. Shoot me in the comments what you guys think that is while I take a sip of water. I tend to speak too fast for my own good. Jonah, 1, awesome. I'm glad you caught this live, by the way. I'm super happy all of you guys are here live. So let me know, what do you think is the one thing? Sale! We have a winner from Sean. Congratulations, Sean. Exactly. Pitch, says Ju. Exactly. So prepare yourselves for a no pitch training. That's right. I did not get you here to sell you guys anything. That is simply not how I roll. All right. So prepare yourselves for being relaxed throughout this training because no sales pitch is coming. All right. Not at all. The reason this is a paid training itself is because I've done many free trainings and I just see that people don't implement. I know that when you have skin in the game, even if it's $30, $50, $5, it makes a difference. All right. So now that that's out of the way, let's get into the good stuff. All right. Branding essentials. Let me ask you this question. I'm going to be asking you questions, so prepare yourselves for that too. Why do you think that branding is important in general? Like, I keep talking, those of you who've been following me for at least a couple of weeks or even a couple of days, know that I always talk about building a powerful brand. So my question to you is, why do you think that is important? What brings you? What does building a powerful brand bring you? I'm really curious what you guys think about that because I have my own little formula of what exactly building a powerful brand brings you, and I'm curious. Positioning. Well, yeah, positioning is a major part of branding, and we will in fact be talking about the difference between branding and positioning because I know these are terms that people usually confuse. Even in my 2-day training in London, I made a 30-minute discussion, I believe it was, or 20 minutes, around the difference between branding and positioning. Authority, says James. And we have a great guest. Of course, what is our goal when we have a business? Our goal is not to make sales, or it should not be. Our goal is to make impact. And making impact and making sales makes us an authority in our space. It means we're being respected. It means people look up to us. Client attraction and authority. Love it. See, what happens when you build a powerful brand is you build an emotional connection with your audience. This is something that is not talked about enough. It simply isn't. Everybody talks about authority, everybody talks about sales, everybody talks about impact, but nobody tells you how to get there. It's like you have the final piece of this authority puzzle, but the first few pieces are missing, and without the first few pieces, there's nothing you can do. So it's mostly just guesswork. So the number one thing that nobody usually shares with you is the emotional connection piece. If you don't build an emotional connection with people, they will not trust you regardless of how many testimonials you provide, regardless of how great your website looks. All right? We live in an age where our attention spans are so insane that we need something deeper. It's not what used to be enough 5 and 10 years ago is simply not enough anymore, which is where the emotional connection pops up. The emotional connection builds trust. You know, the know, like, and trust factor? This is kind of it, except I'm so sick of people saying know, like, trust because it's not the full picture. It simply isn't. So I made up my own. Emotional connection, trust, authority. And if you have a better positioning, then obviously that equals more impact, and with impact comes income. Making sales is important. Don't get me wrong. I didn't get here without selling. And without falling in love with the process, because if you hate selling and if you think it's sleazy, then you definitely are in need of a mindset shift, which I had at the beginning of this year, and after that everything changed. But income comes after impact. Always, 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 right? Here's the difference between positioning and branding that I talked to you guys about a little while ago. Positioning is a part of branding, not the other way around. Positioning is the space you own in your audience's minds. When I say I've positioned myself as, the most powerful brand strategist in my niche, or I've positioned myself as, tell it like it is, brand strategist, and nobody else quite does it like I do. I mean that the first thing that people think about when they remember me is the fact that I am no bullshit, the fact that I really tell it like it is, my posts are extremely honest, extremely transparent, extremely vulnerable. In fact, I'm more vulnerable than most people can afford to be, but I do it in a very strategic way, which I will absolutely share with you. So positioning is a very simple concept. If the first thing people think about you is, oh my God, she's so kind, that's how you're positioned. And here's where it gets interesting. If that is not how you want people to perceive you, if kind is not exactly what you're aiming for, maybe it's brave, then what happens is people perceive you in a different way that you really are. So what happens then is you need to rebrand yourself. All right, and I'm thinking of doing a completely separate training on rebranding. So shoot me a 0 in the comments if you think that would be a good idea. I've never done it, but I'm sort of an expert on it. I've done it for myself with great success. So let me know if you guys are interested in that. Now, branding is, and this is my own definition of branding because there is no official one. All right, nowhere will you be able to find an official definition of branding. My definition is that branding is who you are, deep down, plus who your audience believes you are. Because branding is not just internal, but it's also not just external. If people have a certain perception of you, that's not your brand. That's not your entire brand, all right? You have a little bit of control. Obviously, it's your audience that has most of the control, but you're not completely powerless. Remember that. Yay, love it. Jude, Desiree, Donna, great. I'll definitely consider it then. I think it would be great to share my entire process of how I rebranded myself from $8 an hour social media strategist to what I am today. All right, so let me know by throwing any emoji in the comments if this makes it a lot clearer for you guys. Do you now understand what positioning is and what branding is? Or do they still seem like very distant terms that you don't quite understand? Remember, branding is who you are and who people believe you are. If you're one thing but people see you differently, then the balance is ruined and you need to rebrand yourself. It's as simple as that. Rebranding yourself means changing people's perception of you. which gets dangerous if your motives lack integrity. All right, if your motives lack integrity, yes, it can be dangerous, it can be manipulative. That is not what I teach. You should never aim for people to perceive you as a different person than you already are. I would never advise that, which is why I teach authentic branding and authentic growth strategies. Thank you, James. I'm glad this is clearer for you. Branding is a feeling that you get, that people get. Every time somebody sees you on stage or reads your content or reads or sees a live video of you, they feel something. That thing that they feel is your brand. Are you leaving a positive feeling or a negative feeling? That's a very important question to ask yourself. And it could lead to a big aha moment, because a couple of years ago when I asked myself that question, I realized I was a highly negative person and it was affecting people around me. Branding is absolutely your identity, but as I said, it's also perception. All right? Thank you, Carolina. So what are the elements of a successful brand strategy? And don't worry, we will get into the social media part. I am taking my time to make sure that you guys understand this, all right? The internal and external purpose is the first and most important part of your brand strategy. Simply because if you're not completely aware of what your purpose is, everything else is not going to be clear, it's not going to be focused. If you don't know your purpose, if you don't know why you have this business or why you even exist in this world, then how can you possibly know who you're targeting and what your values are? Internal and external purpose is, again, something I personally came up with. The internal purpose is the selfish, so-called selfish purpose that we have, which is not the reason why you're into business, but more of, what do I want to get out of this business? What do I want in life? So let me share mine with you. My internal purpose, the selfish one, is, as some of you know, I grew up very poor. I grew up in Bulgaria, which is the poorest country in the European Union currently. I hope that will change. It hasn't yet. My parents were earning combined $500, and they're both doctors, and they were never ever able to support me. So I've been in a place where I didn't have food on the table. I have been homeless for a little bit, and I've just been through some very hard times in my life. Everything I have, I've earned it myself. I've built it myself, which is why I want to be able to give my family, my future family, the kids that I'm going to have, everything that I didn't have. All right, I want to give them the education they want. I want to give them the technology that they want, the entrepreneurial spirit that I never had. Had I had it, things would have been very different today, even though I don't regret anything. So my internal purpose is providing for my family the things I never had, and raising them in a happy environment, which I also never had. I never had a happy childhood. The external purpose is the reason you're in business. Why do you work with these people? Why are you a copywriter? Why are you a brand strategist? Why are you a course creation ninja? Why are you a musician? Why do you take care of dogs? You need to know exactly why you're doing this and what the people or animals you work with are getting out of it. For example, you guys have probably heard me, see me talk about stories a lot, because I very passionately believe that every single one of you here, Desiree, Ju, Donna, James, Carolina, who else is here? Sean, all of you guys, Christopher, you have powerful stories. Every single one of you. And you need to share these stories, not because it's cool, not because you're going to make sales, which you will, but that's not the point, but because you're going to change lives by sharing them. Imagine that right now you're wondering if you should go live on Facebook. Your finger is almost on the go live button, and just as you're about to tap that go live button, you pull away and you decide you're feeling too tired, or just it's a lazy day today, so I'm just going to go live another time. By doing that, by not going live and sharing your story, your life story, you are ridding somebody on the other side of the world of the opportunity of hearing your story, somebody holding by a thread, somebody about to give up on everything and make a horrible decision, was about to hear your story, but then you didn't share it. So the only reason this person would have had to stay positive after hearing your challenges and what you've had to overcome, he's not going to be able to do that now. And I'm not saying that's your fault, not at all. Don't perceive this negatively. I'm saying you have an obligation. If you decided to be a public figure, if you decided to be in business, you have an obligation to share your story, because stories change perspectives, stories change minds, stories change lives. That's my external purpose. Let me know if the internal and external purpose makes sense to you guys. The ideal client is pretty clear. In fact, I will share with you my ideal client freebie. The brand values they stream directly from your purpose. Some of my brand values are integrity, authenticity, having fun. My brand values are what shapes my content, and the same goes for you. If you don't have an Evernote document, or I create something called a brand roadmap with all my one-on-one clients, Ju has it, for example, that consists of all of these things, starting with the purpose up until the origin story. It has all of these steps. If you don't have your values written down for you to see every day, you have a very hard time creating content. And I know a lot of you guys have blocks when creating content. You're not consistent. You don't know what to talk about, what to share. This is part of the reason why. I can bet my hair right now that you don't have your values written down in a very clear way. What I found works very well is between 4 and 5 values. You need to be able to look at that list of values and think, wow, my business would not survive even if just one of those was missing. This perfectly describes who I am, what I stand for, and what my business stands for. That's what you need. Your brand personality is, and by the way, I have all of these things in my course. Those of you who haven't already know. Hey Siavash, welcome, just in time. The brand personality is who you are when you interact with people. Are you friendly? Are you formal? Are you informal? Are you supportive? Are you inspirational? Are you arrogant? Yes, that's also a brand. You can be many things. I have my own methods of developing that, which I will be sharing with you guys in another training. The tagline is the one sentence that you use to introduce yourself everywhere, both in the online world and in the offline world. Mine is, hi everybody, my name is Des Dubreva and I give entrepreneurs a megaphone for their brands. I give entrepreneurs a megaphone for their brands. This tagline, I use it on live videos. I use it right now. I use it on interviews, radio shows, when I'm on stage and I'm introducing myself to people, when I meet somebody who asks me what I do. It's very important because it brings consistency into your brand and it makes you feel more confident into expressing what it is that you do. The one thing I usually teach is implementing a metaphor or an idiom in your tagline, like I have one. One of the best ones I've heard it in my 2-day training in London. It was, I help women smile all the way to the bank. That was a really great one. Another one that I came up with for my client, Carla Trigo, was I help women press the play button on their lives. There's one that I developed with a client called Lara. It says, I make marketing crystal clear. Short, sweet, and to the point. So it's completely up to you, but if you don't have this yet, I would suggest that after this training, you take some time, take a couple of hours, sit down and develop it. I have my own system of creating it. It's all in the course. A positioning statement is all of these things that we discussed so far, boiled down into 3 to 5 sentences. It's for internal use, and it's very valuable when you start hiring VAs and team members or employees, because you'll be able to share it with them along with the brand roadmap, and they will know exactly what your brand is, exactly what your business is. This is very important. The reason why you have this brand strategy is not just for you. It's for your audience, it's for your team. Remember, you're running a company. You're not just somebody, or if you are, you won't be forever, who's a solopreneur. A lot of us here are solopreneurs, but do you want to be one forever, or do you want to hire help? Do you want to get to 6 figures, 7 figures, 8 figures? Well, then You will need people to have your back, multiple people. I currently have a team of 5 or 6 people, and I'm definitely hiring more in the new year. My goal is to have a team of 10 people next year. I send all of them my brand roadmap, and unless they understand it very clearly, they're not on my team. Because these are branding guidelines that everybody who is associated with my brand and my company needs to follow, needs to live by. Otherwise, they may tarnish your positioning, they may tarnish your reputation. All right, throw me an emoji if this is making sense to you guys. The origin story is my favorite part of branding because it will play a large part of what I'm teaching you today in terms of social media. As I said, every single one of you here has a story, right? But how often do you actually share your story? How often do you sit down and start writing? How often do you create a post on Facebook or on Instagram where you share a very deep and vulnerable memory with your audience? Most people don't do that. This is the number one thing I always teach my clients how to do and nag them about. I tell them, share your story, share your story. I'll come up with you with a strategy to share it properly. The goal is to make impact and then income. Remember that emotional connection that builds trust, that builds authority? You build that emotional connection by sharing your story. It's called an origin story because the difficult part for people is, well, what should I share? So I have this test, right? When I work with a one-on-one client, I always ask, love it guys, thank you James and Karina. When I work with one-on-one clients, I always ask them to take a piece of paper or one document in Evernote and just write briefly their story. Most of the times, they don't do it properly, and here's why. When you're sharing your story with people, there are 2 things to pay attention to. Your external transformation and your internal transformation. External transformation, internal transformation. Let me explain. Your external transformation in terms of your story is what you've accomplished so far. Just the facts. It's just the facts, no emotions. I, for example, used to be a dishwasher a few years ago. I used to wash dishes for a living, and I used to be paid illegally, which I did not know about at the time, by a Turkish employer in Denmark, in this Turkish restaurant in a small town in Denmark. Just a couple of years later, I have this thriving business, and I'm sitting here teaching incredible people like you how to make more money and more impact with their business and their brands and their online presence. That's my external transformation. Do you realize I didn't share any feelings or emotions with you when I explained you all of that? I didn't say how I felt when I was working there. I didn't say how I feel today. I just stated the facts. And this is what most of you guys, I'm not blaming you, but this is what most people do. All right, most people just share the facts. They think that's inspirational enough and they're done with it. It's not. Remember, it's 2018 almost. People don't get inspired by the same things they used to get inspired by. You need to build an emotional connection by going deeper into the emotions, feelings, mindset shifts. So here's what I teach. Pay attention to your internal transformation. Tell people what challenges you have had, how you felt during each of those challenges. How did I feel when I was working in that restaurant as a dishwasher? I felt horribly. I was harassed and not physically, but mentally abused every single day by the people who worked there. And it was really bad. I was only working there, it wasn't a full-time job, but every time I went home, I felt like trash. I worked there for 6 months, and what was slowly building up in me for these 6 months, after month 6, it just erupted. I left my job with no other income sources. I understood very well that my parents could not support me anymore because they went bankrupt because of me, which made me feel like a complete failure. And so I knew that, but I also knew that I have my dignity that if I kept working there, I would not accomplish anything else because I just didn't have the strength and the willpower to do anything else because they were draining me. That job was destroying me. As soon as I left, it only took me about a month or less to find a new job. That was a proper job. I was transcribing interviews for my university. It was really, really good. So that way I finally felt like I was stepping into my true power. I felt like I was independent. I felt like my parents can finally relax, and they did so much for me that I just wanted to pay them back. Do you see the difference between the way I shared my story right now and the way I shared it before? This is what I call internal transformation. I told you guys that I had a mindset shift, that I couldn't take it anymore. When it happened, I told you how I felt before, how I felt afterwards. I told you when the epiphany happened. So the most important thing about your story is knowing where to start it, knowing where the epiphany moment is, the moment where everything changed, and knowing what you're fighting for today. So for me, the epiphany moment in this story in particular was when I left that job, because leaving that job, that was the first time in my life when I made a conscious choice that was a choice about moving forward. So that choice has shaped every other choice I have ever made in my life and in my career and in my relationships even, because I was finally stepping into my true potential. When you're sharing your story, I want you to sit down and I want you to outline it. Under no circumstances should you just put pen to paper and start writing, unless you're a very unless you're a very good writer, which I consider myself to be. So I often go against my own advice, but I don't recommend that. If you don't feel like an incredible writer, and even if you do, have a structure. Have bullet points, have milestones. Outline 5 milestones in your life that you believe have shaped who you are and have triggered you into entering into the business you have today. Tell your audience why. Why did that happen? What was the epiphany moment? If your life was a movie, when did that moment occur? You know how halfway through each movie, there's this moment where everything goes to hell and it's horrible, and then there's a happy ending afterwards. Not in every movie, but that's the fairy tale, right? That's what people want to hear from you. We're not going to focus too much time on this right now, but the reason I'm explaining this to you is because every single one of you should have this story on the About Me page on your website. Once you put it there, it will be so easy for you to take bits and pieces and share them with your audience under Twitter posts, LinkedIn posts, Facebook Live videos, Periscope Live videos. It gets much easier once you create it the first time, all right? Thank you so much, Sean. And I haven't even started with the really good part yet. As I said, this is a social media training, not a branding training, but I needed to go through these things for you guys because if you don't know these things, it will be very, very difficult for you to understand the part that's coming. All right? If you need more of this, shoot me a message. Now we're going to get into the social media part. Before that, one last thing. Remember, this is every single part of your brand strategy. If you're missing even one of those things, you don't have a full brand strategy, all right? So how many stories do you say? One. You only have one origin story. And in that origin story, there are millions of smaller stories that make it up. So let's say my origin story is comprised of that moment when I was a dishwasher, that moment where I left that job. It's comprised of how I was a world traveler for 2 years. It's comprised of why I stopped because I realized I wasn't making enough money and impact and I needed to focus on my business. And then the last part of my origin story is what I'm fighting for today and where I'm going today to a 7-figure business next year. And the foundations I want to start. So let me know if this makes sense. Your origin story is many little stories, milestones that make up the larger story that you feel your audience needs to know. The reason you need an origin story, you need to define it and share it with your audience is because if your audience doesn't understand your why, then they will never be able to trust you completely. They need to be able to hear your story or read it and think, oh my God, so this is why she or he is doing this. This is why she has this business. This is why she has these products. And this is why she's fighting for this. It makes sense now. When your audience has this thought, everything changes because they now feel closer to you. You have initiated that emotional bond with them. And let me know if that makes sense. Ju, I'm glad that your LinkedIn profile has a part of it. So now let's get into the social media part, right? What you guys came for. And we have plenty of time to go, more than 2 hours, so don't worry. Let me know how you feel so far that you know about what a brand strategy is comprised from. Now, growing your audience like a boss. These are, you're about to see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 of my tactics for building an audience. As you guys know, my audience is close to 100,000 people, and I hope that by this time next year, it will be 1 million. Quite an ambitious goal, but as you know, I like to set ambitious goals. Even if I don't reach them, it still drives me further along the way. So the first truly good way of growing your audience is Facebook groups. I personally have 3 groups. I would recommend 5, but I know it tends to get overwhelming for people. So thank you so much, James. Yes, feel free to ask anything. So I recommend that you find at least, let's say, a minimum of 3 groups that are full of your ideal clients. How do you know that they're full of your ideal clients? Well, the title should kind of give it away. But I will also recommend don't just follow the title, all right? Follow the founder, look at who his target audience is, because usually that's who the group is going to be full of, obviously. And if his target audience or hers matches yours, it's a go. Now, be very careful when you enter Facebook groups with the goal of, expanding your audience or making sales. You should never, under any circumstances, promote yourself, post links, do anything that you are not sure is allowed, like live streaming, for example. One of the really cool things that I do is, let's say it's January. Last January, I created my Instagram course, and I was coming up with tactics on how to sell it, right? It was a pretty low-cost course, only $47, still exists. And I realized, wow, I need to use groups. So I went into 3 of my groups that are full of my ideal client, and I used the search tab. You know how every group has a little search bar? And I typed Instagram. Probably more than 100 discussions where Instagram was mentioned came up. These were people who needed help with something related to Instagram, people asking what Instagram is, people asking whether Instagram is at all beneficial for their business. So obviously, they were my ideal clients, and they were potential people who would buy my course. So then what I did was I interacted with every single one of these discussions, even the ones that were old. There were some that were 4 or 5 months old. Doesn't matter. You never know if this person is still interested in Instagram or not. So what I did was, to the ones that were recent, I replied on the discussion and gave them all the value that I could, mentioning that I have a course. Nothing else. I did not tell the price. I didn't say anything. Here's how I said it. Let's say somebody asked how to create what hashtags to use on Instagram. So then I would say, okay, here are the 5 steps to creating an effective hashtag strategy. First, you need to do this, blah, blah, blah. As I teach in my course, though, it's not just about the hashtags. You also need to look at blah, 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 blah. Let me know if you need any more help. Boom. Now, because this is a public thread in a group, all of the people in the group who are engaged in it will see that. Every single person will see that you have an Instagram course or whatever course you have, and the person who you replied to will definitely take notice. And what happened after I did that was I got a lot of private messages of people asking me about my course and buying it. I think I sold my course to about 50 people in just one group this way, without any tactics and lack integrity. I'm completely against that. So then part of what I did was I said I replied publicly to the most recent discussions, the ones that were from a few months ago, the ones that were older than 2 months. I messaged the person who was asking the question or starting the discussion, and I gave them the value on a private message. And then I suggested my course in the same way. So both tactics are great. Obviously, the public one is better. But sometimes when you reinstate really old discussions, the founder of the group may perceive you as, what the hell is she doing? Is she selling? So I don't do it. I message them privately, which helps because then you're able to start a great discussion around anything, not just Instagram, and get a lot of follower or a potential client. Then, and obviously I'm giving an example of my Instagram course, but you can do this with anything. You just need to be creative with the search tab and know exactly what your ideal client would search for, all right? Then what else should you do in groups? One of the things I do is I start a lot of discussions, all right? So I go into a group, and let's say I want to sell my one-on-one coaching or my branding and social media course. Then I would go into a group that has my ideal client, and I would start a discussion saying, how many of you here are not perceived by their audience the way that you want to be perceived? Guess what, guys? You need a rebranding. Here are the 3 main steps you need to take to make sure you rebrand yourself properly and not make any stupid mistakes. That's my way of talking. Sounds completely like me. This will make a lot of people send me a friend request because they're interested in building a powerful brand, but they don't know where to start or what to do exactly. So they're going to assume by seeing this post that I talk about this a lot on my personal wall. I have gotten so many friend requests this way, so many, both by replying publicly to discussions about my product. So you accomplish 2 things. You kill 2 birds with 1 stone by the previous thing I shared, the discussions. By replying publicly to a relevant discussion, you can make a sale plus expand your audience. Here, by starting discussions, it's mostly about growing your audience, but you can grow your audience really fast in groups that have 5,000 plus people where you start discussions. Now, about live streaming. Obviously, one of the best ways to grow your audience, whether it's live streaming on your business page, on Periscope, on your personal Facebook profile, on Instagram, well, not Instagram, is live streaming. What most people don't realize is they can stream in groups. In fact, in many groups like my group, Social Media Badass Academy, it's recommended that you live stream. So when you live stream, you have an invite button and you can invite people to your live stream. Let's say you're live streaming in a group with 10,000 people. That is crazy. That's a lot of people who can see that. But don't do that unless you're absolutely sure that it's allowed in that group. All right, so the way to do that is to either post it on the wall and ask a question, hi, is live streaming allowed here? But don't do that until you go to the right part of the group and read the rules. That's usually where they are, either in the right part of the group in the sidebar or in the pinned post in the very beginning as you scroll up to the beginning of the group. There should be listed if you can live stream or not. If it's not, either contact the admin privately or ask it in the group. All right. And if it's allowed, go for it. I would live stream there at least 2-3 times a week. That's a really fast way to grow your audience and position yourself as, an authority and expert into your area, into your zone of genius. In my case, branding. Then, something I love doing is partnering up with other group admins. So, let's say one of my friends, for example, has a group of over 30,000 people on Facebook. So he's interviewed me in his group, which brought me tons of sales. It brought me tons of new people following me. Then I interviewed him in my group, which led to a bunch of people buying his course and a lot of new people following him because he is the authority in building Facebook groups and I'm the authority in branding. So our services completely complement each other. So it makes sense that we cross-promote each other and partner up and interview each other in each other's groups. In fact, you can go further than that. And if you have a really good relationship with other group admins, you can say, hey, so we've interviewed each other now and we've benefited from each other's audience. It's great. I know you have this course coming up and I think it would be great for my audience. So I'm going to let you sell it in my group. So then you interview the person and you promote their course to your followers with an affiliate link. You get an affiliate link from them. So basically every time your audience buys their course, you make money passively. You don't even have to do anything. That's one of the ways I make money, and it's really great because you promote a course or a service you truly believe in. It has proven results, and your followers and your audience loves you for it, and they trust your recommendation. But remember, you need to be careful with who you associate yourself with. I would only do this with people you absolutely trust. We will talk more about cross promotion. The next part is strategic following. This is a really simple one, maybe a really obvious one, but I felt it's important to put it out there like this, just in case anybody here is not doing it. So how I started building my audience on Instagram and especially on Facebook was I followed 5 people that are my ideal client. So these are 6- and 7-figure earners, like most of you here. And what I did was I started following their discussions. So let's say we take Facebook, since we are on Facebook right now. I started following their discussions on their business pages, on their personal walls, and I started participating. So their audience got to know me really fast because they were seeing me everywhere. And they got to know me really well too, which is always a bonus since they're potential clients too. Then I started sending friend requests to their audience, and they started sending friend requests to me. And here's where it gets really interesting. This is something very few people do. I don't exactly know why. I wish more people did it. But most people do not send personalized messages or videos to the people they add to their friends. Every single time I add somebody to my Facebook friends, to my personal connections, I send them a personalized video on Messenger. It sounds complicated, but it's not. When you go into Messenger, you can tap and send a 30-second video to anybody. So what I do is, completely spontaneously, it could also be an audio if you don't look great, and I say, "Hi, I'm so happy to be connected with you. I would love to hear more about what you do. I just checked out your profile and I saw you're a copywriter. I absolutely love writing as well. So I'm really, really happy that we got connected. So looking forward to learning more about you. Have a great day." That's it. That was probably less than 30 seconds. That is all I do. And people are so mind blown by the fact that I just took 30 seconds out of my time to send them a personalized video, not even just a message, a dry message, but a video, that they immediately feel closer to me. They feel really grateful, they feel really special, and they feel like I really respect them. So the respect becomes mutual. This is a tactic I recommend to every single one of you because it's still very rare. And most people start doing it, but then they stop because they get too lazy, they get inconsistent. You know how it is. I've been there. All of us have been there. But try it, and the results will be incredible. I used to dedicate 30 minutes of my day to just doing this. Imagine if you take 30 minutes, just 30 minutes out of your day, every day. How many 30-second videos can you send? A lot. And you're going to bond with so many people. So the "I don't have time" excuse is really not valid here. Because yes, we all do. Throw me a 1 if you're loving this so far and if you are learning a lot. Let me know. Throw me a 1 in the comments, alright? My light has come to my screen. Go away, light. There we go. Throw me a 1 in the comments if you are loving the content so far. 1. Thank you, James. I love that you came here, by the way. Ooh, we had 2 more people who wanted to join the group. Should I approve them while we are here live, you guys? Should I give them access to this? They paid after 6 p.m. UK time, but we can be generous, right? I think they still deserve to see the training. So I'm gonna let them in. All right, I see a lot of you are throwing me a 1. I really love that. You guys are getting a lot of value here. Donna, Carolina, Christopher, thank you so much, guys. All right, so we are gonna continue with cross promotion. Hey, David. Didn't know you were still here. I love that you're here. All right. So the next part of this is cross promotion. I mentioned this a little bit beforehand, but not enough. This is actually one of the, hey Reeds, welcome. This is actually one of the best strategies for growing your audience. And again, not many people do it. I don't know exactly why. I think it's because there's this thing where people just don't have enough, people let their ego take over. Do you agree with that? I've noticed that so many people let their egos take over, which is why they never cross promote, which is such a massive mistake because cross promotion for me, thank you so much, David. Cross promotion for me has been essential also because it has allowed me to build such deep connections with other entrepreneurs that I cross promote. But before I get into this, I want to just remind you, you need to be very careful of who you associate yourself with. Your brand is your most precious resource. Your brand is your entire business. Yes, reputations can be fixed, but why tarnish it in the first place? Do your due diligence, do your research, talk to people who have worked with the people you want to cross promote, all right? Make sure they are legit. Now, most people think that they can only cross promote with entrepreneurs who have bigger audiences with them. That's not the only case when this can be valuable to you, not at all. Obviously, your goal should be to cross promote with people with bigger audiences because that way you win more than them, great. But you should also be thinking about giving back, all right? So they also need to benefit, not just you. It works best when you are cross-promoting with people with similarly sized audiences and people who don't do exactly the same thing that you do. A lot of you probably think that it's not worth it to cross-promote with people who have smaller audiences, but that's not true. Here's what I love doing. I love picking up clients, one-on-one clients. I work with about 10 people on a monthly basis. And I love, hey Anna, so happy you're here. And I love working with people who don't have big audiences yet, not nearly as big as mine. Maybe people who have just a couple of thousand, maybe 10,000 people following them. But I have an eye for massive potential. I can see who will grow really, really, really massively in the next 12 months, and I can see who just doesn't have it. Right? I can see who's not consistent. I can see who just is not gonna grow at all. So I'm not saying that's how I choose my clients, but the people I cross promote, if you see me promoting people with much smaller audiences than mine, then you know I'm doing it because I believe that they have what it takes to grow massively, and I want to help them on that journey. The group thing, we talked about interviewing each other in each other's Facebook groups. That also works on Instagram Live. It's really cool for Instagram Live. So if you have Instagram, I bet that most of you have never used the Instagram live streaming feature because maybe you don't get many people watching you, but guess what? If you get somebody with a much bigger audience than yours, for example, or a similarly sized one, to interview you on their Instagram, if they have a very loyal audience, you will grow based off of that interview. You can also you can have a Twitter chat together to each other's audiences. You can guest post. Oh, that's on the list. You can guest blog for each other. That's really big. But when it comes to each other's groups, there's this one thing that you can do. Let's see if I can show it to you guys. I'm not sure it will work, but let me try. I'm going to go into my group on Facebook and see if I can show you how you can link other people's groups to yours and vice versa. This is something, for some reason, it's not very popular. It doesn't always come up. But at the top of your group, it says link groups and it says recommended by the admin. Let me show you. So this is the Content Revolution group, right? Recommended by the admin. The admin thinks you might be interested in these groups. So what I did here was I linked my free group, Social Media Badass Academy, that has 2,000 people, and I linked my paid community, Even though you cannot join this right now, you can only join it when I launch it, and it's only open twice a year. I added it here because it's brand awareness. You guys now know about this. Maybe some of you did not know I had this community beforehand, right? Or maybe you didn't know that it was paid. It's a membership site. Maybe you didn't know it launches twice a year, now you do. So what I recommend in terms of cross promotion is you can add multiple. I think you can add up to 4 or 5 groups here. Make a deal with other people with groups who complement your services and products and say, hey, I'll link your group here if you link mine in yours. Boom. That's great cross promotion. Okay. Now, affiliate marketing. This is, I kind of mentioned that beforehand, but let me go through it again. When you see me interviewing somebody in my big group that has 2,000 people, and that person is launching a course that I'm talking about, the reason is that I'm doing affiliate marketing. Again, I would only do this with people I trust, whose products I believe will be valuable to my audience. Okay, if I know you guys don't need this, I'm not gonna try and promote it to you. So I'm helping this person sell their course or service by interviewing them in my group, and I'm saying, check the comment section after this interview to buy his or her course, and I give my affiliate link. Let's say this person pays 50% like I do. Those of you who have my branding course, for example, did you know that I pay 50% affiliate commission? The course is going to be up to $1,000 soon. You can get $500 off of one sale, all right, with your affiliate link. That's really powerful. So make sure you check out all of the people that you trust, all of their products and services, and see what you can become an affiliate for. Because then they'll be affiliates for your products, and you can make money for each other passively. And what's better than that? Guest blogging, obviously a big thing. For those of you who blog, you should absolutely consider guest blogging with some of the other people who have similarly sized audiences so that you can cross-promote each other. And here are 2 interesting things that I have not seen anybody do yet. Not in my network anyway. Co-produce a newsletter. So if any of you here do email marketing, which I know is a very tough thing, and you need to be very consistent with it. But if you do email marketing consistently, you probably send your audience newsletters once a week or once a month, or maybe bi-weekly, which you absolutely should, by the way, at least once a month. So in this newsletter, you share, you share value with them, you share news around you and your business, you share industry trends and news and updates, and you also share links to your products, of course, if you have new products. Now, wouldn't it be great if, let's say you have an email list of 1,000 people, if somebody you know has a list of 5,000 people and you can co-produce a newsletter together to their audience. You create the newsletter together, talk about each of your products, or you just give a freebie to their audience, and then 10% of their audience follows you. That's 500 people. That's pretty good. So if you've never thought about that, definitely put it on your list. Co-sponsor a cause. This is pretty interesting. So let's say, here's something I love doing. Every year for my birthday, which is on 27th of January, so very soon, instead of getting people to get me gifts and pay me money and stuff, I use this charity to get people to donate to it. It's called Charity Water. And I get people to donate to it instead of buying me a birthday present. So I say, hey guys, so everybody who wanted to buy me a birthday present, please consider donating that money here instead, because then way more people are going to benefit from this and not just me. And they need it way more than I do. Now, how cool would it be if you could do this with somebody else? It does not have to be for a birthday. Let's say you care about animal rights. This is one of my future foundations too. So let's say you care about animal rights and somebody else from your audience does too. Guess what? You can co-sponsor a cause together. Find an organization or create one, but it's easier to find an organization that fights for animal rights, that, helps abused animals, helps saves animals from the streets. I personally sponsor some of these organizations in my home country, Bulgaria. And then announce to both of your audiences that you're co-sponsoring this cause. say that from now on, every month you're going to donate this amount, or just say you're co-sponsoring it without any details if you don't want people to know. This is incredible because, first of all, it builds you up as both of you as people who truly care about something other than money and yourself. It builds you up as authorities in your niche because, again, it builds that trust. And obviously it grows your audiences because you constantly talk about each other and you tag each other in your posts when you talk about the cause. All right. Throw me an emoji if you found at least one valuable idea in this list. I really want to know, or did you guys know every single one of these things? My personal favorite is definitely the calls one because, again, I've only seen this done by celebrities. For some reason, people in our space don't really think about this as much. I'm not quite sure why. All right, so moving on. Hey, Michael. Michael throws a 1. Awesome. Growing your audience like a boss giveaway / challenge. So here's what I mean by this. Some of you guys, you gotta watch the replay because of, for some reason I don't see the rest of your comments. Sorry about that. So some of you guys have participated in my 5-day branding challenge. Hey, thank you, David and James and Desiree, Michael and Carolina. I love it. Some of you guys participated in my 5-day free branding challenge in my big group, which is now evergreen. So you can still participate if you have. The goal for this branding challenge was, well, there were a few goals. The top goal, apart from giving value to as many people as possible, we had hundreds of participants. The main goal was to get people to join the Badass Brand Squad, my paid membership community, because I opened it on the last day of the challenge. So it was a really clever way to give incredible amounts of value to people for free. And in the end say, hey guys, so if you saw value in this, then you would see 10 times more value in joining my private community. It's like an extended family of entrepreneurs who support each other on the way up, who elevate each other. So I had 40 people join last time, which was the biggest launch ever and only my second one. But another part of the goal for this challenge was to grow my business page and to grow my audience. So what I did was I delivered the challenge videos. So every day on my business page, I delivered a video about branding and I gave people a task each day. Let's say today's task is go live on your wall and share this part of your story. Let's say next day's task is do a brand audit or whatever. So I delivered the tasks on my business page, which brought me a couple of hundred likes on my business page in 5 days. And then the tasks were done. They were accomplished in my group, which is closed. So it also got a lot of new people joining my group. I think my group grew with about 500 members during these 5 days because everybody was talking about the challenge. It was a massive hit. It was Star Wars themed. It was called May the Brand Be With You. So a really clever way of, for all of the Star Wars fans, we were all talking like Yoda. So it was really, really fun and it really helped me grow my audience. So another thing you could do is a giveaway. This is something I used to do a lot a couple of years ago. I would say, hey guys, so I'm doing this giveaway. One person is going to win a free strategy session with me or my course or whatever. And all you have to do is come and like and share this photo or video. If you're on Instagram, you would ask people to like your photo and tag somebody in it to expand your audience. If you're on Twitter, same, you would ask people to retweet and tag somebody. If you're on Facebook, you would ask people to share your live video or share your photo and like it and comment on it. So that way, so many people can see it because when somebody comments on your content, their audience sees it. So that way you grow really, really fast. That is why your goal should always be to get as much engagement as possible. All right? I already mentioned the tagging a friend thing, but so many of us forget to do that, including myself. So when you're running a giveaway, a competition, or a challenge, let's say it's a giveaway and you're giving away a free strategy session or a course or maybe a product. My friend Mitch is now giving out a Samsung 8. So it could be anything really that you have access to that you believe will be valuable to your audience. And then to win, people need to tag a friend. Let's say 100 people participate in this giveaway, and each of them tags at least one friend. That's 100 more people. What if 1,000 people participate? That's 2,000 people. What if you ask them to tag 3 friends? That's incredible. Your audience just grew like crazy. But you gotta make sure the giveaway is something people really want. Another way, this tactic, I've used it. Now I would never recommend you guys to use something that I've never used personally. All right, so this one, I used it about 4 or 5 months ago, and it grew my group with 200 people overnight in 24 hours, my Facebook group. I did a sort of a giveaway, so I said, hey guys, so in the next 24 hours, the person who adds the most relevant people to this group, and not add, invite. You need to use the invite feature. You never ever, under any circumstances, should add people against their will to your group or anybody else's group. There is an invite button, and you can send a personalized message. That is the only thing you're allowed to do, right? Or you piss a lot of people off and you can ruin your reputation over it. People love to publicly shame others, unfortunately. So I said, the person who invites the most relevant people to this group in the next 24 hours will win a free strategy session with me. And people went crazy. So we had 200 new members overnight. And they were all relevant. They were all entrepreneurs because I made sure they understood it needed to be entrepreneurs who, were already profitable in their business. All right. So these are some of the easiest tactics to grow your audience like a boss. All right. Here are some bonus tips for you guys. So how many of you go live, whether it's on Periscope or Facebook, and you forget to invite people? The other day I was talking to somebody on private message. She's a new member in my Badass Brand Squad, joined a few months ago. And she was telling me, so I only get like 90 views on my live videos on my business page on Facebook. What is happening? What is wrong with me? What is wrong with people? They never care about my content. So I thought, this is weird. You have a page of 2,000 people. You should be having 90 views. Let's check out what's happening. Went to her page. It was true. Like Michael says he forgets. That's the first thing I do. I went to her page and it was indeed weird. She was not getting any views on her live videos. Here's the thing. When you go live on your personal wall, even if you don't invite people, you will appear in people's feed. So you still get some people watching you, right? A part of your audience will still come, even if it's 0.1%. On your business page, without throwing money at your business page on a monthly basis, it's very tough for anything you post to appear in people's feeds without ad spend. So unless you invite people to your live videos, nobody's gonna see them. I personally have a page of about 2,000 people, and if I don't invite anybody, I have about 100, maybe 200 views. When I invite people, it grows to between 500 and 1,000. So when you go live, let's say you're going live on your phone. There's an invite button right here in the lower corners. You tap it and then you get a list of your audience. You have to do this as you speak. There is no button that invites everybody, unfortunately, and I don't think there will ever be. There is one on Periscope though. So if you're live streaming on an app called Periscope, which I absolutely love, and you're live, you can just tap invite all followers. On Facebook, you have to do this and invite each person. Now, it gets better with time. Right now, all of my friends make fun of me because when I'm live streaming, I do this without even noticing I do it. So I'm just talking to you and multitasking, and I invite thousands of people. Again, if I didn't, I would barely have any views. Now, what I recommend is not going live from your phone, but from your laptop. Did you know that you don't have to use a phone or a tablet? You can go live on Facebook and even on Periscope from your laptop. Facebook now does it natively. You just have to choose, you can even choose a camera. So I can be live streaming with this camera, but I can also be live streaming with my laptop camera. You can even switch between microphones. So go live from your computer, take another device, whether it's your phone or a tablet, and invite people from there. That is 10 times easier because you focus on this camera and you're just holding this somewhere away from the screen and tapping to invite people. That's the easiest way to grow your audience, because as more people join and start commenting, their audience sees it and then they join your video. All right. Now, something nobody does, I'm not sure why, is you guys send emails to people all the time. I mean, you have a business. You probably get a lot of people contacting you by email, asking about products and services, or maybe it doesn't even have to be anybody asking you anything. It can just be something you ordered online, and then you contacted customer service, and then they saw your email signature, which led them to your group or your page or your Twitter account. Doesn't matter. You should absolutely have a call to action in your email signature. What most people do is they add all of their social media platforms, which is a mistake, because even though people like choices, this gives them too much of a choice. So they'll not click on any of them, most likely. I like to give them one choice. When you tag, can you not be... Okay, why am I not seeing your entire comments? I'm gonna go to the group and make sure I'm seeing them. All right? So, 1 second, guys. I don't want to miss anything that you're saying. We got 54 comments. Thank you so much for being so engaged. I really appreciate it. Okay, we got 13 people watching us live. When you tag, can you not be classed as spamming? Asks Michael. What do you mean? I'm not saying tag people. I'm saying invite people. There's a big difference. You should never ever tag people against their will and stuff like your videos or just your content. The only time when it's allowed to tag people is to, I'll share this in a little bit, but the only way you're allowed to tag people is if you have an agreement. So a lot of the people from the Badass Brand Squad, for example, my private community, have an agreement with each other. Hey, I'm gonna tag you in my in the content I put out on Facebook or on Instagram so that you can comment, and then you can do the same with me. So that way they drive engagement to each other due to the agreement they have. Their audience doesn't know that, and they love each other's content. So it's not a tactic that lacks integrity. It's completely authentic. Let me know if that makes sense. I gotta watch replay because of awkward job schedule. Thank you so much, Rob, and no worries at all. Okay. So add a link to, I personally always drive people to my Facebook group for this reason. Thank you, Michael. I'm happy. For this reason, I add people to my Facebook group and I don't drive them to business pages or any other social media accounts because my Facebook group has 2,000 people right now. It's gonna have 10,000 next year. And this group is the place where I always pre-launch everything. When I put up a course, I promote it there first. This masterclass that you're attending right now, I promoted it there first. So half of you came from there. When I have a new service, I promote it there. All of my launches for the Badass Brand School, they happen in that group. The people in that group are special and they get to have first time access to all of my stuff that I put out that are paid or free. So this is why my Instagram leads them to the Facebook group, my email signature leads them there, even my Periscope account leads my audience to my Facebook group. Because that is the place where my community lives. This is the place where I'm active every single day. They constantly see my face, they know what I'm capable of, and they have trust in me. So think about what is the one place where your community is gonna exist. And if you don't have one yet, I suggest you create it because you need to have a place for your community. Then, participate in discussions as your page. Did you know that when you're commenting on stuff on Facebook, you can actually choose to comment as your business page? You don't have to do it as your profile. Let me know if you knew that. Alright, so I absolutely recommend that you do that because in the long term, your goal should be to build your business page. In fact, let's do this. Let's spend a few minutes talking about the big debate between personal wall on Facebook and business page. This is not a training only focused on Facebook. I just lean towards Facebook because I know most of you guys are service-based entrepreneurs and Facebook is your #1 platform. If you have questions about any other platforms, throw them in the comments, all right? I'll reply. So, the big debate. Should you use your personal profile for business? How? And which should you focus on? A group, a business page, or a personal profile? Because it's a lot, right? It's a lot, and creating unique content everywhere is so difficult. Donna, yay, mission accomplished then. So here's what I do. Yes, you need to be active everywhere, absolutely, but no, you don't need to be overwhelmed and you don't need to spend crazy amounts of time on all three places. So here's my formula for things. When you have to prioritize income generating activities in the short term, which means if your business is not 6 figures yet, then you need to be focusing on the source that will bring you the most income in the short term. Once you have that income, you will have money to invest back in your business. So then you need to focus on another source for long-term gains. If you're not 6 figures yet, take my word for this, focus on your personal Facebook wall and your group, of course, always on your group. Your business page, you still need to be active there, but if you're not running ads yet, then you will not have much traction. You will not be able to build much momentum, and this is getting worse and worse, especially with ad costs rising, organic content on pages. It's very, very difficult to grow it. Not impossible, but difficult. So my advice, and this is advice very few people are going to give you for one reason. I know a lot of people who grew exactly by focusing on their personal Facebook wall that are now bashing that strategy and saying stuff like, no, you should always focus on your business page. Never, never use your personal wall for business, which is complete crap because that's exactly what all of them did. That's exactly what everybody does who is able to grow fast. Unless you have big piles of cash from the very beginning that you can spend on Facebook ads, because Facebook ads are the best way to grow, by far. But do not run them unless you can hire somebody to run them for you. Otherwise, you waste a lot of money. I only got ready to use Facebook ads in May this year. Up until then, I had this business for years. I had never even thought about running ads because my income level, I didn't feel comfortable spending thousands of dollars a month for this. All right? Now I do. So right now, focus on your personal wall. Do not do shady stuff like try to sell with every post, or your audience will feel ambushed, they will feel spammed. We will go through this, but obviously it's okay to sell to people indirectly. Always try to get them on a call or on a private message or in your group where you make the sale. All right, especially for higher price products. This is a very gray area. I've read Facebook's terms and conditions. Most of the things are a very gray area. A lot of people are afraid to even make a post where they talk about their business because they think their account will get suspended. That is not true. That's not even a gray area. The only thing Facebook frowns upon is writing a post and asking for money in the post itself. So having a link in the very post, not in the comment section, but in the post saying, hey, buy my course or whatever. I would not advise that you do that, especially for high price products. But the only way, let's be clear, because I know some of you are afraid of having your pages suspended if you use them for business, profiles. Here is the only way to get suspended on Facebook. Multiple people need to report your personal profile, and they need to state as a reason that you're using it to make sales. Obviously, you need to be crazy to do that to somebody, unless somebody is using very shady tactics, all right? So I don't recommend that you spam people with sales offers on your personal wall. Please don't do that. There are better ways to grow your audience and grow your income and grow your impact. I'm so happy you also didn't know that, Anna. Mission accomplished. Let's see the rest of you guys' comments. I have a page, but I don't have a group. I think I need to step up my game and make one. Yeah, absolutely need to have one, because if you don't have a group, then you don't have one unified place for your community to exist. And people like the feel of a community. They want to be part of something bigger. They search for it actively. So if you're not able to provide them with that, it's a huge opportunity lost on your side and on their side. Remember, people bond with you because of your personality. Every single one of you can have a successful group if you wanted one. No question. So focus on your personal wall, but don't use it to make sales directly, and especially not all the time. In the long term, you should absolutely be focused on your business page. In the long term. Because when you get to that income level, you're going to want to run Facebook ads. To run Facebook ads, it would be great if you already have a database of people to retarget. These are the people that kept interacting with the content you created up until that point of time. Which is why it's important to still be active there. Do live videos there. They're the easiest way to grow your business page. Open group or closed group? Closed, absolutely. And here's why. It brings exclusivity to the table, number one reason. Reason number two, if you have a closed group, you have preliminary questions. You're allowed at this point of time to have up to 3 questions that you ask people who request to join the group. You can use these questions really, really wisely. You can get their emails from there. So every person who joins your group gives you their email willingly, and you add it to your email list. If that's not your thing, here's what I do. I have 3 questions for Social Media Badass Academy, my big free group. One of them is, have you ever sat down and planned your entire brand strategy? Usually the answer is no. So then I know who is a potential client immediately. Then I ask, on a scale of 1 to 10, how happy are you with your brand? Most people say below 5. Again, potential clients. Then, right now, I think I am giving them a link for a freebie, which means they give me their email address. This is really valuable information. Just by people who haven't even joined the group, just from these questions, you can know who your potential clients are and who aren't. All right, that's very important. Open groups don't bring any exclusivity, and it's really there's no point of having an open group, because you might as well just post all that content on your wall, which is public, because then everybody can see it. Does that make sense? Let me know. Now, this is something that I also need to keep reminding all my clients, because it's very easy to move away from it. When I wasn't yet taking my business seriously, middle of last year, I was talking to all the wrong people with my social media content. I wasn't asking myself this question. I wasn't asking myself, hey Des, are you even addressing the right people? Like, are you talking to your ideal client? Do you even know who your ideal client is, or are you just talking to everybody? Take this from me, guys. If you're talking to everybody, you're talking to nobody. Remember that sentence, write it down, put it on your wall, on your forehead, whatever. But if you're talking to everybody, you're talking to nobody. For people to feel like you're talking to them, exactly to them, you need to be specific. It's the whole niching down thing that everybody talks about. Obviously, you need to have a niche. It doesn't need to be too specific, but you need to know who your ideal client is, which, if you remember, is a major part of your brand strategy. I'll give you my freebie, which consists of 42 questions to ask yourself to find out exactly who your ideal client is. All right? So don't worry about that. I'll help you. So let me know if you see a difference in these 2 posts. 5 tips on how to grow your brand organically versus here's how to help your VA understand your brand. So let me know in the comments, what do you think the difference between these 2 posts is? Let's imagine these are LinkedIn or Facebook posts. So what is the difference between 5 tips on how to grow your brand purely organically, and here's how to help your VA understand your brand? Let me know what you think in the comments below. I'm really curious, because this was, you know how sometimes you need to tweak something really small in your social media presence, and then the sales just start flowing and you make 10 times more impact than you used to make. This was it for me. This, more than a year ago, for me, it changed my entire perspective on business. This question, are you addressing your ideal client or someone completely different? When I asked myself this question, it shifted my entire perspective on what I'm doing in my business. Desiree says, VA post assumes that the listeners have a VA, more established business. James says, I think the one that mentions the VA speaks more to people with higher income already. Exactly. And then Desiree says, 5 tips is good for everyone or beginners. Donna says, one is for individuals and the other is for hiring a VA. So, like Desiree and James said, the first post, talks to people who have an interest in growing their brand organically, which means they're not willing to spend money yet on their business, most likely because they don't have that money, which automatically means that the first post is targeted at beginners. Who is interested in growing their brand organically? Who will not even spend $33 for this training or $99 or whatever to grow their brand, to grow their social media presence, to grow their business? People who don't have that money, people who are not making any money. Yes, you get the slides. So the second post assumes that you have the cash to hire an assistant, a VA. So even to hire one proper VA, that means you've reached a point in your business where you see the value in outsourcing and you're able to outsource and you have the income to outsource something. All right? You may not have a 6-figure business yet, but you're making money. In the beginning of my business, I was talking to the first person, which is why I was only reaching people who could not afford me. So I was speaking in this way, and at the same time, I wanted to attract high earners. So let me ask you this. My target audience, I have 2, but the main one for my high-level services, like my yearly coaching, is 6 and 7-figure earners. So let me ask you, does the first post attract 6 and 7-figure earners? Does it attract people who are ready to invest in their business and invest more than a couple of $1,000? Most likely not. The second post attracts people who already have at least some money. So please ask yourself this question. This may change your entire online presence. So warning, it changed mine. And it's a good thing. If you right now are realizing that you're talking to the wrong person with your post, that's fine. Because now you know. And with awareness comes wisdom. So don't worry, guys. It's a good thing. Self-awareness is always a good thing. All right? Remember, you get these slides, so don't worry. But you should still be taking notes just in case. We are up to my favorite part of this training, most likely, which is, and an hour and a half has already passed. Wow, time passes quickly, you guys, seriously. So these are the 4 pillars of building authority. I want to remind you guys of something, so small break. The content that I create for you in this training and in my course, there are very few. Thank you, Donna. I'm so happy that you are in BBS and now here. So in the things that I teach, there are very few aspects of them that you can find anywhere else. All right, so these 4 pillars of building authority, you cannot find this information anywhere. Like, I did not take it from the online world. This is based on years of following my audience and following other people's audiences and seeing different behavioral patterns and seeing and reading a lot of scientific studies, because for those of you guys who don't know, I have a master's degree in branding and marketing communications, which went really deep into behavioral patterns and psychology and a lot of things like that we don't need to talk about now. But all the trainings that I deliver to you are always based on that. They're not just based on superficial material that everybody talks about, which is why I always feel comfortable in charging for it and charging big amounts often. Thank you so much, Donna. I'm really happy that you like it. There's a lot more where that came from. So now, back to the 4 pillars of building authority. A lot of people will disagree on this, and they've done it many times. Too bad for them, because believe me, the 4 pillars of building authority absolutely do begin with vulnerability. All right? Because, remember, the emotional connection, guys, vulnerability builds that connection. However, let's talk about the dangers here. There is such a thing as being too vulnerable. Absolutely, there is such a thing as being too vulnerable. And I'm just thinking of examples. Okay, here's one. A few months ago, I was examining my Facebook feed as usual, monitoring people's behaviors and what drives people and what they talk about and how they manage their brands. And I came across a business owner. I was really hoping she was not a business owner, although my feed is 90% business owners. She made a series of posts. She was obviously in a bad emotional condition, and she made a series of posts of how her husband cheated on her and how her marriage is now destroyed. And this was not the type of post that had a really clever spin on it with like a life lesson or the press release type of post. It was seriously a very hurt and emotional post that really tarnished her reputation, really, really destroyed a big part of her business. Yes, one post can cause some very unfortunate results for your business. So you need to be very careful with what you post, guys. So why did it tarnish her reputation? Because it was negative. It was so negative. Here's a tip from me. When you're doing a rant, I know that you feel like it. Very often something happens, you feel distraught, you feel angry, you feel pissed off at something or at somebody that did something wrong, that lacks integrity, that is inauthentic, and you want to go online and rant about it. I do it, but I do it in a very strategic and clever way, and here's how. In the end of that rant, I always end the post on a positive note. If you go through my social media accounts, there is not a single post that ends negatively, even if it's just one sentence. So it could be negative, 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 positive. And here's how I do it. Now, let's say I'm making a post about all the people in my industry who lack integrity, which is something I actually love talking about because I love driving awareness to this. Many people lack integrity, especially people in branding, because branding is, it could be dangerous if taught by the wrong person and adopted by the wrong person, right? And understood incorrectly. So I'm very angry at the people who teach branding in the wrong way. They teach inauthentic growth strategies. They tell you to buy followers. They tell you to take photos with Lamborghinis and fancy houses, even if you're broke. I'm sure you thought of at least one person right now, didn't you? We all have those people in our feed. So what I do is I say, God, I'm so sick of people in my industry who lack integrity. Today I came across somebody talking about branding and saying how branding is basically manipulating people into buying from you. And I got so pissed off because integrity is one of my core values and I take my teachings very seriously, and I would never ever create a tribe of people who can only grow inauthentically and who think integrity is just a fancy word they have to throw around, to get attention. So my message to you is, I'm still quoting, I'm literally making up a Facebook post for you guys right now, or Instagram or whatever. So what I'm saying up until now is a post. So my message to all of you guys is be very, very careful with who you listen to, limit the people you follow and take advice from, because your business is precious and you're incredible and you deserve incredible mentors who truly care about your success. I've been blessed with a few incredible mentors. Here I would tag a couple of people and I would say thank you. So did you see what I just did? I turned this post from something extremely negative, from a negative rant, into a lesson, a business lesson, a life lesson to people. And I even took it further and turned it into a gratitude post to my business coaches and my mentors by saying thank you to them. And I helped them expand their audience. How great is that? That's what I mean when I say you need to be strategic with every single thing you post. Your social media accounts, if you're a business owner, you give up the minute you become a business owner and you take your business into the online world, you give up the right to be negative and you give up the right to just rant for no apparent reason and express your frustrations online on your social media accounts. Want to know why? Because you have an obligation to your audience. You can either live with that or you cannot. And if you cannot, you should not be in business. This is what I always say to people. There is literally no reason why you right now, when something horrible happens and your husband cheats on you, or your boyfriend breaks up with you and finds another girlfriend or whatever, you go on social media and you just share it with people. You can still share it, and you should if you want to, but always, always, always either turn it into a lesson, or turn it into a piece of advice for your audience, or turn it into a vulnerable story that actually makes a valid point. This is your obligation as a business owner, and you cannot afford to ruin your positioning with one post created out of weakness. All right? So let me know if you understand vulnerability better now. In fact, probably about 10-20 minutes from now, I'm going to share with you one of the most vulnerable posts I've ever created in my life. It's a recent one on my Facebook account that is just as vulnerable as it should have been, and that drives across the right point. So you see what I mean by finding the right balance. So that's the first pillar of building authority. Now, the second one is passion. Gary Vee has this saying, I really love it. He says, don't outmarket your competition, outcare it. When you start your business and you don't have any experience yet, but you still want to serve your clients, what do you do to sell yourself? You don't have testimonials. You don't have fancy videos and equipment because you can't afford it yet. How do you win clients over? Personally, I started my career on a freelancing platform called Upwork. The only thing I could bet on was my passion. I found my first client within 2 weeks. Within a month and a half, I was already location independent because I was making a couple of $1,000 a month from Upwork. Based on my passion. I made it clear to my clients that they are my first clients. I did not lie about my experience. And I said, this is why I'm working for $8 an hour, okay? I am learning and I'm willing to learn with you. Are you learning? Are you willing to allow me to learn with your company for this price? A lot of them said yes. Some of them I'm still working with today. Totally different prices, of course. So that's what I mean when I say passion. People need to be able to see that you genuinely care. Your audience must never ever think of you as somebody just trying to make the next sale. I have so many people in my feed who only talk about how great they are and how brilliant they are at marketing and sales and whatever. And it's one thing to talk about your accomplishments. It's another thing to put yourself in the center of the universe instead of your audience and your clients and customers. Remember, they are the most important thing. The third pillar of building authority is competence. Obviously, there is no way in hell that you will ever be able to build authority if people don't think you're competent, which means you need to provide as much value as you can. I have a lot of entrepreneurial friends who we have this massive debate with. They say to me, there is such a thing as providing too much value. You should be very careful with the amount of value you provide. In fact, I'm going to have this discussion with you seeing my face because it's important, all right? So I have a lot of people, entrepreneurial friends, who tell me, be very, very careful about the value you provide because yes, there is such a thing as too much value and people will definitely not buy from you if they feel like you're giving too much value for free. Let me know in the comment section if you agree with that or not, because I'm genuinely curious. It's a massive debate in the entrepreneurial world, whether you should even give anything for free, how much you should give for free, and whether you should truly be careful about not giving away too much. So, Michael, you're very right, integrity is king. So let me know in the comments what you think and what your thoughts are on this topic, and then I'll share mine with you. I have this debate probably at least 3 times a week with different people because I understand where they're coming from. I really do. I really, really do. And I will share with you exactly how I feel about it. Anna says, oh wow, light bulb moment. My audience needs to be agents that are already making some money. Boom! I love that you just had that realization. Siavash says he disagrees. And Desiree says that she buys from people who have already established expertise by demonstrating it. And Siavash says that he does not believe that you can give away too much value. Christopher says he feels that it's a balance. I love these. I love these guys. Keep them coming. Let's see. Michael says, I think you can give a lot, but you need to hold some for value. Okay, great. Let's see if anybody else likes to contribute to the discussion. This is great, guys. This is a fantastic discussion. I love hearing all of your opinions. This is really, really valuable. Listen to each other. This is free market research for you. You're all business owners. So definitely use this as market research. Don't hold back, says Ritz. I hope I'm not butchering your name. Sean says, add lots of value. You can always go to new, deeper levels when 101. That's when you cash in. Jay says, I think if you enjoy providing the value, then it helps your business and your clients and wins you more clients, so it's a win-win for both. But if you don't like providing it, then it just won't work because folks will sense that you don't like it. In my opinion, if you don't like providing value, what the hell are you doing, right? Jonah says, I think you should give something away. Siavash says, sell the experience, not the concept. Brilliant. And Desiree says, if you're really an expert, you can always give more or deeper. All right. Hey, Sonia, welcome on board, girl. You're just joining during a great discussion. Here are my thoughts on the topic. Can you give away too much value, and should you be afraid of giving away too much value? My opinion, as always, is controversial, and it's no. You can never give away too much value for free. I have personally given away 90% of my tactics that are in my course, in my one-on-one trainings, for free. Because, like Donna, I feel like it's impossible to give away too much. Here's something you guys need to understand. People don't pay for information. People pay for 2 things. Well, 3 things. People don't pay for information. People pay for implementation. You personally helping them implement. People pay for structure. When you post on your Facebook account, for example, I give people tips for free every single day. Just by following my free content, you can literally build a business from scratch and a brand. Because I share most of my most brilliant tips for free. But that means you need to scroll down and scroll down and scroll down and check out my content for the last 2-3 years, which will take you so much time. The same people would prefer to pay and work with me directly one-on-one, which is why, let me give you an example. Even though I make so many free posts that provide so much value, with, I think it's 4 posts in total, I managed to make $1,000 off of this training. And this training, I'm not doing it for the money. I just needed to ask for money for it to make sure the people who come here implement. But I earned $1,000 just off of a few posts without doing much. And yet, that wasn't all. In between promoting this webinar, you guys may have noticed that I announced that I have 2 free spots for mentorship for next year. So this is the first time I'm committing to coaching somebody for the full 12 months of 2018. It's going to be massive, and these 2 people's businesses are absolutely going to explode. If you're not 6 figures yet, you will be. If you're 6 figures, I'm taking you with me on the way to 7 figures. We're building new products, services, creating new funnels for you, everything. The minute I announced that in my group, I had, I think, 5 people message me. Then I announced it on my wall, and I got 3 or 4 more people message me for it. And I already found one of it's on a kind of like an application basis, so I already found one. So 1 spot is filled. despite of the fact that I give all of my best tactics on my wall, in my group, and on my business page, and on my Instagram account for free. People don't care, because seeing how much you can give for free inspires them to contact you for further tips and tricks and support and guidance. Here's the thing, most of my clients, and this is a weird thing that took me a while to get used to. A lot of my one-on-one clients, they get on a call with me and they like spending the first 20 minutes of the call just talking to me about me and them and just getting to know each other better, talking to each other about what's up in each other's lives. So in the beginning, I used to be very cautious, and I was like, hey, so you realize, like, I need to be helping you here, you're paying me for this. And they always said the same thing. Yeah, which is exactly why, I want to get to know you better, and I want us to build that emotional connection together. And I bet that the same happens with your guys' clients if you have one-on-one clients. Some people like to get straight to work, of course, but I've noticed that a lot of my ideal clients prefer to really, really build that friendship. So I am friends with 100% of my clients. I didn't think that it was possible, but 100% of my clients today are my friends. Every single person in BBS, every single person I work one-on-one with, and that has become sort of a prerequisite. Your personality needs to be a personality that I can bond with. We need to share some values at least. Let's see what you guys are saying. There's always more to give, says Melanie. Our knowledge and resources are endless, and they can be adapted to each client and situation. You can always implement for them. That is something they were paid for. Boom. Sonia says people buy convenience of having all in one place. Yes, the structure, right? Exactly. So guys, please, my advice to you, regardless of what other people have told you, is don't ever be afraid of giving away too much. Give it your all. And then only after you've given it your best shot, then ask for money. Give, and then ask. That is my motto. All right? My clients also become friends. I love it. We're very similar. Now, let's continue. Anna is quoting me. I love it when people quote me. Let's see what Anna is saying. And we'll continue with pillar number 4, which, you guys, is certainty. We have almost 100 comments in here. I love it. People don't buy for information, but for implementation and structure. Amazing. I love it. Yay. I'm glad. You're welcome. The last pillar of building authority is certainty. This is the part that a lot of you guys, I know for a fact, feel uncomfortable with, and that is totally fine. What is not fine, though, is you feeling uncomfortable with it forever. Remember how I keep saying you have an obligation to your audience and your clients. You got into business because you had a passionate desire of making impact and making a change for somebody, right? You wouldn't be in business right now if you didn't have a powerful purpose. Part of making that impact is being very, very certain about the fact that you can make that impact, all right? And how do you do that? You do it by telling people how good you are. I know it seems like bragging. It is. I call it the humble brag. Not something I invented, heard it somewhere, adopted it. Sounds really good. The humble brag. Because thank you so much, Lacey. I love it. Glad you're inspired. So let me know this. Because I know a lot of you guys right now are thinking, oh, but this is so arrogant. Like me telling people I'm really damn good at what I do, that's so damn arrogant. I don't want anybody to perceive me as freaking arrogant. So tell me in the comments, you've been following, if you're here, you obviously trust me, you think I have authority, and you have built some sort of an emotional connection with me to get to this point where you paid for this training and you're watching it. So tell me, in the time that you've been following me, did you ever start perceiving me as arrogant? Right? And be honest with me. That's totally fine. It's not always a negative thing. Be honest with me. Tell me in the comment section. Do you perceive my personality as somebody who is arrogant? And there is a point to me asking. It's not just free market research. Don't worry. one thing that you need to worry less about is whether people will perceive you as arrogant. Because guess what? The right people will never perceive you as something you don't want to be perceived as if you're doing the right things. This is something that so many of my clients were afraid of when we started working together the first time. In the very first session, they said, oh my God, if I say this or do this, they're going to think I'm arrogant or narcissist or, self-centered or any of those things. And I usually just, laugh it off and explain to them that, hey, look, you need to polarize with your content. If your content is not polarizing, that means that you're not doing a good enough job of stating your values and opinions. Because if every single person out there agrees with you 100%, that means that they don't know you really well. Does that make sense to you guys? There is no person in this world that everybody loves and agrees with. Freaking, I don't know, Dalai Lama. Everybody has haters. And haters and trolls and people who disagree with you are a very good thing. Because they bring you back to reality. They tell you that your content is working. This is why I've never felt bad about the thousands of people who disagree with me and troll me on a daily basis. If you guys see my messages just on one platform, you would probably break down and cry because there's a lot of hate there. Because I'm a very open and opinionated and transparent person, and a lot of people disagree with the things I say, which tells me I'm also, while I'm putting off the wrong people, I'm attracting the right ones. Only by being truly yourself, truly transparent, and honest will you attract the right people. So we got some comments. Donna says, I'm not arrogant. James says, I never thought you were. Let me just open up these comments. We got Desiree says, yes, a little, but I think that's your brand. And since you're giving a lot of value, it comes across as confident. Boom. Desiree just read me like an open book. Michael says, you're arrogant. No, not really. I thought, who's that sloth? Melanie says, confident, yes, arrogant, no. And Christopher says, just very confident. See the one word that keeps appearing here? Jen says, I think you're decisive, which I freaking love. The one word that keeps appearing here is confident. Yes, that is in fact my brand. My brand does not consist of arrogance at all. But the wrong people do think I'm arrogant. You guys don't, because you're the right people. You're my ideal clients. You are the people I love and cherish and appreciate, and I am so damn happy that I have you here because you understand me. And the reason you're here is because part of my brand strategy is telling you that I'm good. Yes, I can share testimonials. Yes, I can share case studies. I can tell you how I've helped my clients build a 6-figure business. I can tell you how my clients have retired their partners and build this much in sales. But it will not paint the full picture. I need to still be so certain that I'm good that I tell you that. Here's an example. Let's say I'm writing a post on Facebook and I want to strengthen my authority with it. So how do I build my authority? With a post. I say this, and I'm making this up as I go. So today I sat down and realized that the reason I'm so passionate about branding is that I love helping people get out their stories and inspire and change lives with their stories. And your story is a massive part of your brand strategy. I am so damn good at what I do that there isn't a single client I've worked with that has not learned exactly how to own their story, define their story, and share it strategically to bring more people on board and to increase their income and impact. Boom. That's part of the post. Doesn't need to be all of it, obviously. But this is how you do it. You don't just go and say, hey, I'm brilliant at this and I'm great at that and I'm the best. I have never in my life uttered the words, I am the best at something, unless it was a joke. Because I don't see people as competition. For me to be the best at something, that means there's competition, and there isn't. I don't believe in competition. Because each of us are so different that even if we do the exact same thing, we're still not competing because we have different brand personalities, different character traits, different values. None of us are identically the same. In fact, I coach other brand strategists. I have clients, multiple ones who are brand strategists, and I'm still coaching them and I'm still helping them, even though we share an audience and a career. I don't believe in competition. I do believe in owning up to your strengths and weaknesses and being certain about how good you are. And you guys need to be very, very certain too. If you're afraid to tell people that you're good, if you're afraid to proclaim to the world that you're good at what you do, then you need to take a step back and wonder if you really are in the right career, because you need to be confident. All right. Let's see. Confident, transparent. Thank you. For example, polarizing doesn't go well with my brand. I try to rant and people don't like it. I'm typically an extremely patient person and understanding, and when I rant, it doesn't come off as natural. Sonia, polarizing has nothing to do with rants. Polarizing with your content means one thing and one thing only: being honest. That's it. It doesn't mean being controversial for the sake of being controversial. I've done that. I hate that. That is not authentic. I've tested a lot of different things, believe me, guys, before I came to be the person I am today and to have this business. So polarizing with your content simply means that you don't hide your values from people, you don't hide your beliefs from people. It does not mean ranting about politics or religion. These are topics that personally in a business environment for me are taboo because they never have positive outcomes, these discussions. So I only have them privately. But it means, let's say I saw how a few weeks ago it was Black Friday. And everybody seemed to say on their wall how, oh my God, it's Black Friday, everybody's doing discounts. But I stand against discounting my products. So it became a trend for this Black Friday for nobody to do a discount because they believe that it's like saying your products are not worth their full price. So I saw that. I monitored it really carefully. I saw over 100 people who said that. I'm not discounting my products this Black Friday. So I went on my wall and shared my thoughts on that. And I said, guess what? I actually care about my audience, which is exactly why I'm discounting my course. I have so many people in my audience who would benefit from this course because it teaches you how to build a brand from scratch. But they have not been able to afford it. All right. So I'm going to do what did I do? 40% discount or something. For people, I have people from Nigeria and Uganda who I love, and they've been telling me that, hey, this course costs more than what people here live off in 6 months. And I'm like, wow, I'm so sorry. I'll do a special discount for you on Black Friday. So I did it. And they bought it. And now they're thanking me because they've benefited so much from it and they're already implementing the tactics that I teach. If I had stood with the masses and said, I'm not going to discount my products, and then this would never have happened. So Sonia, do you get what polarizing means in this sense? I didn't rant. I just said, hey guys, I actually care about my audience. So yes, I will be discounting my products because blah, 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 blah. And I spinned it in a positive way. I polarized with my content because I was honest and because I went against what the masses do. That's it. Now, the extra ingredient and a very creepy red card, apparently. So if you guys are not entertaining in any sense, especially if you're doing live streaming, which you should be because you probably know the statistic that by 2020, 80, 90 or something percent of all internet traffic will be videos, especially live videos. All of the algorithms are now prioritizing live videos. You need to be on live video. Which is why it's so important to have the entertainment aspect in your business. For me, you guys know that I love to entertain, whether it's with videos, images, text, stories. I love making you laugh because humor is a very important ingredient in trust. When you make people smile, they remember that and they associate you with positive feelings. They associate you with laughter, and this is very underestimated in the business world. Have you ever seen me be super serious or wear super serious outfits? No, even when I'm on stage, I love making people laugh with my delivery and my slides, and and everything. I have sloths in my slides and I have crazy hairstyles, and it helps me stand out, but it also helps me entertain my audience, because believe me, the second they get bored, they're out. They're freaking out. Whether it's a video, a post, they're out. They're gonna stop reading, stop watching, and they won't come back most likely, because now your brand for them has changed. They perceive you as boring. So regardless of how you may provide tons of value, you may be the person in your niche who provides the most value ever, and yet they're not gonna come back to you if you're not entertaining at least a little bit. So my advice is, don't take yourself too seriously. This depends on your brand, obviously, but taking yourself too seriously is something that turns people off. Most people, especially now in 2018, it's an aspect that you need to think about. All right, so think about entertainment. I've never liked competition either. Now, the Zoom method of creating content. What you're seeing on the screen right now is every single aspect of your social media strategy. So in the beginning, I showed you all the aspects in building a brand strategy. These are all the aspects in building a social media strategy. You start with setting your goals. I'm going to go briefly through each of these, and then we're going to go to the most important part, which is content themes, so creating content and selling. So when you're setting your social media goals, focus on two things. Number one, your general goals. This means don't focus on a platform, but ask yourself this. What do I want to accomplish with my content in general? How do I want to make people feel when they read my stuff or see me on stage or watch my videos? For example, could be you want to inspire, could be entertain, could be support, could be motivate. What else is there? Anything really. Come up with 2 social media general goals. For me, it's inspire, educate, and entertain. I have 3 because I'm a rebel. So for me, it's inspire, educate, and entertain. These are the 3 things that I need to be accomplishing with my entire business. And if I'm not, then I'm failing. Then specific goals. Make a list with all of your platforms. And if you don't have a team behind you, or at least a VA, I suggest not spending your time on more than 3 platforms, because you will get overwhelmed. So go through each one of your platforms and write a goal for it. And be specific. What are you going to do with your Instagram account? I have so many people who buy my Instagram course and say to me, oh, I'm just on Instagram because I know my ideal client is there. Okay, but that's not a goal. That's not a reason. What is, I haven't planned a break. Let me know if you guys need one. We can do like a couple of minutes break. I'm a machine, so I can just go and go and go. So go through each of the platforms and ask yourself, why am I here? Why am I really here? And what do I want to get out of my presence here? Let's say you're on Instagram. Is your goal to build your email list? So then you can offer a freebie in your bio. Is your goal brand awareness? Is your goal to sell your book, which is a short-term goal, but still? Then you have a link to your book. Or is your goal like mine, which is for Instagram to be just a small part in your funnel, which leads people to your Facebook group where you do your launches and sales? All right. This is what I mean when I say set very specific goals for each platform, because they will keep you on track and you will not lose focus when you always know what the end goal is. Your brand personality is both a part of your brand strategy and your social media strategy. It's equally as important in both places. So you need to know what language to use with your audience. Friendly one, formal one, slang. You need to know if they appreciate blunt honesty, like my people, or if they want to be, or if they want you to be a hand holder. All right, because that reflects in your content. Obviously, if your audience wants a hand holder in you, then your strategy will be different than mine. I'm not a hand holder. Even though I'm very supportive, I will always push you out of your comfort zone because that's the only way you'll be truly successful and you'll learn. Content themes, we will go through these in a couple of minutes, so I'll skip them right now. Core and secondary platforms, you absolutely need to identify your core and secondary platforms. The core social media platforms you're on are the platforms that you need to be present in daily, every single day. For me, that's Facebook and Instagram. Your secondary platforms are platforms that you do need to have a presence on, because if you don't, it's either weird or it's a red flag for your audience. For example, if I were not on Twitter at all, even though I'm not really active there, if I didn't have a profile there, my audience would think it's very weird. They would search for me, they would want to tag me and stuff, and they wouldn't be able to because I didn't exist there. So think about it. Are there any places where you don't have an account yet, but a lot of your ideal clients are there, so it would be great for, networking, even if you're not active there daily. Once you have this list of core and secondary platforms, it will eliminate a lot of your overwhelm, because you know exactly where you should be every day, and you focus on those places, and you will know where you don't have to be that active. You just can go there a couple of times a week and post. Because right now, I bet that it's all a complete chaos, and you think, oh my God, I need to be on Twitter, I need to be on Instagram, and you don't manage to be anywhere every day. Then your word bank. This is something I invented that I really, really like. Come up with 4 phrases and a few hashtags and words that you want to be remembered for. So let's say, how do you remember me? I'm constantly talking about building a powerful brand, right? I have a hashtag called Talk Branding to Me. I constantly talk about integrity, so you definitely associate me with that word. You definitely associate me with the word authenticity too, which is a good thing because it's one of my core values. You associate me with confidence, which is great because it's my entire brand. You associate me with being rebellious, being a badass, which is great, again, my brand. But the most important thing is to be associated with specific phrases. All right, for me, one of them is build a powerful brand. Another one is stories can change lives. Another one is share your story. The reason I'm so consistent with my content is because I have a list of words and phrases and hashtags that I've called a word bank, where I've compiled them. So every time I create content, I have my word bank open, and I'm like, okay, I'm gonna take this phrase and use it in today's post. I'm going to take this word because I haven't talked about integrity in a while, and I need to remind my audience how important it is to me. Boom, boom, put it in my post. This is one of the easiest ways to know exactly what to talk about. Just take stuff from your word bank. How to create it? Well, think about what you do, think about what your ideal client wants and needs, and think about what you need them to understand about you. Content types, we are going to go through this in detail. I'm going to share with you guys exactly what content types I use and how, especially on Facebook. But in this case, think about what content types your audience understands best. Is it text? Is it videos? Is it images? Is it live videos? Right? All of these things combined make up your action plan. And the reason I call this strategy the Zoom method is because what most people teach in terms of a social media strategy is basically looking at the bigger picture. Think about where you need to be 1, 3, 5, 10, 20 years from now, and then reverse engineer your social media presence. That's what everybody teaches you. They say, look at the bigger picture and talk about the goals you want to accomplish and let that reflect in your content. Great, but that's not good enough. You need to be focused on the details. You need to zoom in, which is why this is called the Zoom method. You need to zoom in with your magnifying glass and think about your goals, your brand personality, your content themes, platforms, word bank, and content types. In fact, there's more. These are just the main things that comprise your social media strategy. So that, guys, is the Zoom method, and I hope you like that. So you guys want to break? Let me know in the comments if you want to break, because we can have like a 5-minute break. Oops, let me check out your comments. We can have a break, no worries, you guys. We can do 5 minutes. There's about 45 minutes left of content. So let's take 5 minutes now. All right, I'll stay here. You guys can talk to me. It's 9:15 here, so we will go back to the content at 20 past. All right, so take 5 minutes, be back at 20 past, and we'll continue. You know, Facebook is actually working on this really cool feature where you can run ads inside your live videos. So right now, if I had that feature, if it was available to me, I would be able to run an ad for you guys, and I would be paid for it because Facebook is planning to pay its creators. Let's go for vegan pizza. Sure, Michael. 5 minutes, guys. I'll be here, so feel free to ask me anything or just casually chat with me, all right? Let's see. I'm just reading your comments. People that are not my match. Yeah, Sonia, just be yourself. Look, if you're rubbing people the wrong way, you're rubbing the wrong people the wrong way, all right? The right people will see you for who you really are and love you for who you really are and appreciate you. I will slap the truth without fear. I love you. I love humor, right? People say I'm hilarious. How do we know something comes across as polarizing or rant? The difference. I think that's tough for me. Yeah, it's really tough. And remember the positivity I keep mentioning. Thank you so much, Desiree. There's a lot more. We're yet to get into the really good part, which is my structure for selling. Go ahead, Donna. What was I about to say? So Anna, never finish on a negative note. That's what I am gonna remind you of. If it's a rant, it's all negative. If it's polarizing content, it states a strong opinion, but it always ends positively. So your goal is to create some controversy, but not for the sake of controversy, for the sake of making people realize something. So in your case, you're doing it really well right now because you're opening a lot of realtors' eyes to what's really happening in the real estate industry and why it's wrong. So it's a really, really good thing. What else do we have? This is a great class. Okay. So make sure you ask your question, Donna. I'm here. I will answer it for you. 3 more minutes left of the break, you guys. I've never actually done a break on a live training, so you're my test bunnies. Why am I still showing you this? There we go. Any questions? Just ask. What would be, what would be the best question to ask to start a discussion in regards to finding people who want to sack their boss? So for those of you who don't know, Donna runs a business by teaching, I think it's primarily women, how to basically fire their boss, which means how to leave their job and start their own business. So what would be the best question to start a discussion? Well, your target audience is 9-to-5ers, right? So then I would ask, here's an idea. I would ask, on a scale of 1 to 10, how satisfied are you with having a 9-to-5 job? Then I would ask, these are separate discussion starters. I love starting discussions, so I have tons of these, but I usually come up with them pretty spontaneously. Another one would be, what is the number one reason you have not left your job yet? This is very important. What is the number one reason you have not left your job yet? This targets people who are not satisfied with their job, who want to leave their job, but have not left it yet for a reason that seems valid to them. This is directly aimed at your ideal client. I would actually absolutely write that down if I was you and definitely ask it on your Facebook wall because it's a really good question. Your aim is to ask simple questions that would get a lot of people to comment. It's questions that may seem obvious to you, but at the same time, it's questions that people would definitely want to state their opinion on. That's the balance that you need to find. If you ask something too complicated, especially if it would require a lot of thinking or more than one answer, people would hesitate, and if they hesitate, they're not going to comment. So yeah, those two questions I would definitely ask. Oh, and we should be starting back again. All right, it's 20 past, so I am going back to the content, you guys. All right, let's go back. Did you enjoy your break? We are reaching the most important part of this training. We are about to enter the sales territory, where I'm going to show you exactly the types of posts I use to sell to my audience without being sleazy. But before that, a lot of you guys told me that you need help with creating content because you're either too slow, which we will go through, or you don't know what to talk about so often, because as I keep saying, you need to be present daily on your core platforms. So a lot of you sit down and think, wow, I don't have that many things to talk about. Like, what should I talk about today? And more than once, wow, I'm not sure what I can come up with. I totally understand that feeling. For me, I had that mindset shift where I switched to a place where every single thing I look at or think about, I can turn it into a valuable and engaging post. And you will get there, but only if you decide that you want to. Because the problem is, a lot of people put self-limiting beliefs in themselves, and they say, oh, I'm really bad with coming up with content. Oh, I'm really slow at writing, Anna. Oh, I'm really inconsistent. Guess what? By stating it into the universe or whatever, you make sure that it's true. It's like me when I say I'm horrible at math. I'm only horrible at math because I keep saying it, because I keep making it true. And by saying it, it means I never try because I don't have any expectations to reach. My expectations are so low that I never try to surpass them. And it's the same for you. If you keep saying that you're bad at creating content, you will keep being bad, because you have no incentive to become good. So I want you to erase all those beliefs right now, and let's start fresh right now. Okay? Are you gonna start fresh with me, guys? Start fresh with me, all right? Throw me an emoji in the comments if you're ready to start fresh with zero self-limiting beliefs, and if you're ready to turn into a content creation machine, because that's what I am, and that's what I want to turn you into after this training, all right? I have a couple of presents for you. One person will win my course. The rest of you are going to get my content calendar and my ideal client freebie. So lots of stuff to go through in the next 40 or so minutes. Yay! Awesome. So let's talk about content themes. This is something I came up with because I was having trouble being consistent with my content. I was talking about different things and I was being present, but I felt like it wasn't focused enough and it wasn't strategic enough. Love it, John. Love it, James. Oh, the fire. That's my favorite one. I love the little pose, John. So I thought, what can I do to make my presence more consistent, more focused, and what can I do to never ever run out of topics to talk about? This for me is the number one thing. I need to be able to sit down right now and know exactly what I'm going to talk about for the next week. So every single Sunday I sit down, I take 1 or 2 hours and I just create content for the next week. And believe it or not, in 1 or 2 hours, I create my content for 3 platforms. 2 of them, daily posts, multiple daily posts. One of the things that has really helped me to do that are my content themes. Ask yourself a couple of questions before I explain to you how to do that. Number 1, what does your audience absolutely need to know about you? So remember how I talked about your why? Unless your audience understands your why, so they can put a frame on your teachings and your experiences and your brand, they'll not trust you. They need to understand you to trust you. All right? So what parts of your story or your experiences do they need to know to trust you? What part of your life will show your character? Lacey's ready. I love it. And what will build your authority status faster? Your content themes accomplish a few things. You never run out of things to talk about, you build an emotional connection, and you build authority with your audience. Boom! Examples. These are coming straight from my Today London training for you guys. So you're some of the very few people who've seen this slide. Now, here you're seeing my 5 content themes. The things on the left under examples are my personal content themes that I've never shared publicly. And these are the topics that I'm confident I can talk about at any given point of time. If you tell me, create 5 posts right now, I can look at those 5 topics and create a post for each one. Just like that. Because these are things that I'm confident I can talk about. These are things I've been through. These are things I believe in. So when you create your content themes, it needs to be things that you're absolutely 100% confident to talk about. For me, number 1 is my roots. Every single person, you guys remember what was one of the first things I shared with you on this masterclass? I shared with you that I'm from Bulgaria. I shared with you how I grew up. The reason I did this, and the reason I always do this, is because this is one of my content themes. And the reason it's one of my content themes is because if you know where I came from, if you know that I'm self-made, thank you, Anna. If you know that I'm self-made, if you know that I've accomplished everything on my own, and if you know that I come from nothing, literally nothing, you're gonna respect me that much more, you're gonna believe in me that much more, and you're gonna resonate with me if you've been through the same things. So Bulgaria is who I am. Bulgaria will always be who I am, even if I cannot call it home. I still call it home, to be honest with you, even though I have not lived there for 4.5 years. So the reason it's one of my content themes is because it's a very important part of my story. And it's important for me that every single person who follows me sees this. In fact, being from Bulgaria has caused a lot of controversy in my life. I've been discriminated against, I've been ignored, abused, harassed because I'm from Bulgaria, and I'm thankful for every single person who did that because I know how important it is for me to share it now. A lot of Bulgarians hide the fact that they're from Bulgaria because they're ashamed and because they don't want to be judged. For me, I prefer to come right out of it and say, yeah, I'm from Bulgaria. So what? See what I mean? Does it make sense? Being a rebel is, it comes from, I always tell my audience how I look at what the masses are doing and I do the exact opposite. If somebody gives me a piece of advice, I rarely follow it because most of the times it's an advice that they have given to 1,000 other people. Alright, so I make up my own path. That's what being a rebel means to me. It means doing things differently. Always, every single product and course I've created, I created it because I was pissed off at an industry trend or an inauthentic tactic. So I can make up a post like that about being a rebel. I can share a lot of childhood stories about how I was different, how I was picked on and bullied and cyberbullied because I was different and I was a rebel. So this is how you create content based off of a content theme. You look at it and you immediately are able to write something or say something. Writing/stories. So those of you who know me well know that I started off as a copywriter because writing is the thing that I enjoy most in the world. Literally, there are a few things, but there's almost nothing that I enjoy as much as writing. And it's important for me, for my audience, to know this because I will always be creating my own content. I will never ever outsource blog posts or anything that involves writing, including my next book, because I enjoy it, I'm good at it, and my writing converts, it impacts. And very few people can say that. So that both builds authority and lets people know a very big part of my character. By reading the creations of people like Shakespeare and J.K. Rowling, I was so inspired when I was 10 years old that I started writing my own books and fables and stories. And it's very important that my audience knows that. So if I were to create content based off of this content theme, writing, I would talk about how Harry Potter inspired me. I would talk about J.K. Rowling. I would talk about Shakespeare. I would talk about I would talk about how I became so good at writing. I would talk about how it's natural to me. I would talk about how I take writing for granted. So I often have to take a step back and realize that it's not that easy for people. So that's part of the reason why I teach it in my course, actually. I have a whole module on copywriting and sharing your story because I know how difficult it is for people. So that is how you create content based on that content theme. BBS, as you guys know, is my private membership community, Badass Brand Squad. Every single time I hear the word BBS, I can share a million stories. So having that as my content theme, you guys have probably seen that very, very often. A few times a week, I talk about BBS on my wall. I share screenshots, photos of our live calls. BBS is the exemplification of my purpose. BBS is the proudest accomplishment I have had and I will always have in my business. And I'm always about to cry when I talk about it because it's just so beautiful. Imagine accomplishing the one thing in your business that you know will last forever and that you know means that, wow, I did it. I did the one thing that I'm going to be proud of forever. I'm impacting so many lives and I've built this incredible environment of people who support each other. There's no competition. It's like a freaking fairy tale, except it's real. So if I were to create content based off of the content theme called BBS, I would share stories from the community. I would share testimonials from people, photos from our live calls. I would share the reason why I created BBS, which is that I was tired of other communities who are ripping people off these insane amounts of money and giving nothing in return. And I was tired of competition. Now I have skipped one content theme and it's being unavailable. I'm going through each of these because I want to make it really clear for you guys how to create content based off a content theme, all right? So when it comes to being unavailable, this is the one content theme I have that builds my authority. Every single one of you should make a list of 5 content themes and one of them should be about building authority. I have thought long and hard about what is the one thing I can share with my audience at any given point of time that's gonna make them go, wow, she is so good at what she does and she's such a big authority. So I tried a lot of different tactics, I tried testimonials, I tried everything, and the one thing that seems to work is me being honest with my audience about the amounts of messages I get on a daily basis. And so for those of you who don't know, just on Facebook, I'm not counting Instagram or LinkedIn or Twitter, I get 100+ messages per day from different people wanting to collaborate, work with me, trolling me, whatever. But it's over 100 messages per day. So on the right side of this, you see examples of building authority. So here you can see a lot of examples, including mine, of what content themes you can create to build authority. You need to think long and hard about this. For me, it's the messages. For you, it may be that you work with a very limited amount of people. It could be name dropping. Maybe you've worked with, I don't know, Jack Russell or Arnold Schwarzenegger. Maybe it's all the places you've been featured in. My friend Diana, for example, has raised millions in capital raising, and she's been featured in all of the major publications. She's been on TV. So that's what she uses to build authority. That's her content theme. This will not be easy for you, but you need to test, experiment until you get it right. Here's how it works. How do I talk about being unavailable? Well, I'll make a post saying, hey guys, I'm so sorry. Over the last week, I've received over 700 messages. So if I haven't replied to you yet, give me a couple of weeks and I'll get back to you. Boom. It's an apology, but it immediately builds authority because people think, whoa. Oh my God, she's so sought after. Everybody wants to talk to her. Everybody wants to work with her. I need to get in there too. That's what goes through people's minds. Also, every time somebody messages me and I reply in less than 24 hours or even a few days, they feel super special. So they thank me for my time. They say, oh my God, I know how busy you are. I'm so grateful that you replied to me this fast. Now, if I lacked integrity, I would lie. I would be getting 2-3 messages per day and I would say I get 100. A lot of people would do that. Be very careful with this. Please don't lie, don't manipulate, don't exaggerate, not too much anyway. Stay real, stay authentic, and stay transparent and stay honest with your audience. You don't need to come up with something that is not true. You have enough things that can position you as an authority. All right? Remember that. So, let me know if content themes make sense to you, because this was the one thing you needed to understand before we get into the sales part. What I want you to do is, I'm going to gift you my content calendar that has the names of all the platforms you are on, days of the week, and under each day of the week, you type your content theme. Let's say Monday you're going to talk about being unavailable, Tuesday BBS, Wednesday writing, whatever. Scroll all the way down, find the empty pages, and start writing posts based off of each content theme. That's how you get super organized with your content. Mic drop. All right? Content themes make your story go on forever. Now, the good stuff, what you've been waiting for this whole time, yay! Let me share with you the basic, very basic structure I used for every single one, well, most of my posts anyway. I use the blog post structure. The one thing that I hate seeing in long posts, Sonia, you are the one who asks about how I write those posts that are super long and people yet read them. By having a structure and by making them visually pleasing. So this structure works well on Instagram, LinkedIn, and Facebook, and I literally just write like I'm writing a blog post with spaced out content though. I have a headline. That's very, very important. Then I have the body text. I have the ending. But most of all, I have a call to action. All right, this is the very basic structure that I use. So you guys have probably noticed that a lot of my posts on Facebook and Instagram, in fact, all of them on Instagram, have a capitalized headline that is meant to be super short, just one sentence that draws your attention to keep reading. A lot of times it sounds like clickbait, but it's not, because it's actually relevant to the post. So this is a good way to use clickbaiting. I like putting a positive spin on negative stuff. So now that you know my basic structure, we're gonna get into the sales part. Let me check out your comments. I'm so fast and good at writing. So you batch create your content. Yes, I sit down every Sunday and I create most of my content for the week, but I allow for spontaneity, because a lot of times I get inspired by something and I want to talk about it and I make it fit into the bigger picture. By batch creating your content for the entire week, you're able to see the bigger picture. So you don't do stuff like, oh my God, 3 days in a row I've talked about the same thing. A lot of people do this because they don't create their content in advance, they don't put their content themes under each day of the week, and they don't see how it spreads out, which is a very big mistake on every single platform. I always feel so bad for not responding fast when I'm super busy. And it's a good thing, nothing to be sorry about. It's a really good thing. In fact, it's something to be grateful for. Don't feel bad. You just need to set expectations, Melanie. If you've set proper expectations, it is completely fine for both you and your audience. Thank you, Donna. Yay. Let's get into the sales part, which is the last part, the almost last part of this training. We may go 10-15 minutes overboard, all right? Now, over time, I mean. Here are the 3 main content types that I use, not just to sell. These are just the main content types I use in any case, whether I'm selling or not. Story pieces, super specific value poems, and discussion starters. And let me show you guys what I mean by story pieces, and I will share with you. In fact, wait, let me go back to this. I will share with you what I mean by story pieces. I shared one of my most vulnerable posts a few days ago on my personal wall on Facebook, and a lot of you have probably read it. It was really, really vulnerable. It was things that I have never shared before that are part of my childhood and the way that I was bullied when I was a teenager. And it was basically, the goal of the post was to build a proper and more deeper connection with my audience. Oh, this is actually another one. And this one is kind of a story piece, because I go into how, it pains me to see so many people doing incredible things, but they don't get any impact. So I meet them where they're at. I meet them in the middle of their situation, which is, oh, I'm creating content and I'm doing this, but I'm not making any sales or impact. So then I tell them, you can't keep denying this, you can't keep denying this. So I really meet them where they're at, I give them options, and in the end, I promote the very masterclass that you're at right now. This post got me 11 sales, by the way. So worked pretty well. So this is the type of story post. This is the one that I'm talking to you guys about. This is a post that immediately shares a story about how I was bullied and how everybody thought I was good for nothing. And then I say, there's a reason I'm sharing this story with you guys. It changes lives. Remember my content theme? This immediately comes from the content theme that is stories. I'm tagging my clients and I'm saying to people, share your story. I dare you to do it today, along with an image of me. That post exploded, obviously, lots of comments. It's always the story posts that get the most comments. And Sonia, if you're still watching, darling, this is how I make the post go really, I wouldn't say viral, but this is how I make a post get a lot of engagement. And actually one person contacted me to work with me one-on-one based off of this post. So this falls under the story piece post. Super specific value bombs are posts that say, for example, here are the 5 ways to get healthier this winter. Number 1, blah, blah, blah. Number 2. So it's not something that everybody else would say. It's not, oh, drink lots of water. It's more like, do this specific exercise, eat this specific food. It's important that you're specific because when people scroll on their feeds, there's too much of the same. There's too much of the type of content that is vague and so overused. For example, consistency is the key to success. To succeed, you need to be consistent. Or content is king. Or, I don't know, just part of that crap that everybody else talks about. Don't be part of the masses. Remember, look at what everybody else is talking about and find a way to talk about either the opposite of that or something completely different. And then we have discussion starters. So these are the 3 main content types that I always talk about, that I always use, sorry. Discussion starters is what Donna was asking me a few minutes ago. She said, how can I start a discussion with my audience if my audience is people who want to leave their jobs? In her case, I said, why don't you ask this question on your Facebook wall? And it was, what is the number 1 reason you have not left your job yet? Right? So think about, and remember, these discussion starters are free market research for you guys. Some of the questions I have asked have been, what is the number 1 thing that can convince you to invest in one-on-one support? Oh my God, I got over 100 comments on that. It gave me so much value. And all I did was ask one question. I've also asked, what do you think about when you hear the word branding? This is part of the research I was doing before creating my course. So it was important for me to find out all the misconceptions and the myths people have in their heads about branding so that I can break them all in my course and properly educate people like you guys on exactly what to do. So my entire course that is half branding, half social media, is basically a very extended version of what I'm teaching you right now, is based off of what people told me. Because what is the point of me creating content if nobody wants to learn that, right? So 90% of that course is me asking my audience questions and then responding. I take their answers and then turn them into modules and lessons of my course. I love creating courses. Now, I'm going to share with you, I think it's about 6 separate, 1, 2, 3, 4, yeah, it's about 6 posts that I use when selling. So here's the most important part of this training, all right? Selling without the sleaze factor, the make 'em sweat post. I also call this the anticipation post. So this is probably the most effective one because this is the post where you, again, meet people where they're at and you talk about that one thing and you talk about it and you talk about it and you talk about it, describe it, paint a picture super visually before you finally reveal it. So I'm going to give you an example in just a second. All right, so Let's say I want to tell people what is the number one reason that they are not able to create content consistently. And the number one reason is content. They don't have content themes, which you now do. So then I would write a post. Let's create it right now. I would say, you want to create content on a daily basis, and yet every single time you sit down with your Evernote, your fingers on the keyboard, keyboard buttons, your fingers on the keyboard buttons, you just thought you had something in mind to speak about, but as soon as your fingers got on the keyboard, it left your mind. So you keep staring at your wall, you keep staring at your laptop, you keep staring at the blank page, but there's nothing. So what is the one thing that can truly change everything for you? What is the one thing that can revolutionize your online presence and explode your business? What is the one thing that, without even mentioning the word consistency, will enable you to be consistent with your content and will turn you into a content creation machine? Oh, it's one thing that nobody else talks about. It's that one thing that I teach in all of my courses, in my trainings, and that all of my one-on-one clients have created. But you haven't, because you haven't worked with me yet. That one thing, ladies and gentlemen, is content themes. Blah, 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 blah. What do I accomplish with this post? Well, I mentioned working with me, which means immediately in their mind, there's something triggered right now. The idea, they're visualizing themselves working with me right now, which is really good. It's a make them sweat post because I wrote at least 10 sentences where I'm talking about that one thing, but I'm not revealing it, which means I got their attention. They kept reading. There ain't a single person who's going to stop reading before he finds out what is that freaking one thing. Believe me, these posts get so much engagement. But it's important to paint the picture as visually as you can. That's why I talked about the keyboard and your fingers and all that stuff. And I like to talk about, how my room looks as I'm sitting on my laptop creating content. So details do matter in these stories. And in fact, details and painting a picture is what makes you a great writer. It's what makes you a better writer. And copywriting is one of the most essential aspects of your business. So I would then finish the post by saying, oh, need help creating your content themes? Shoot me a message. The people who shoot me a message, I'll get them on the call and I'll pitch them my one-on-one packages. Boom. If you know what you're doing, you just made a sale. How great is that? Sonia, especially for you, my darling, and for Anna, this is the controversial post. As I said, the most important thing is for you to never be controversial for the sake of being controversial. So I'm giving you guys an exact script here. In all of the next ideas, I'm going to be giving you exact scripts. Don't worry, you will have the slides. So, the controversial post, here's the script for it. Everyone's talking about how easy it is to become, this is just an example, to become an Instagram influencer. Guess what? You're wrong, and here's why. Becoming an Instagram influencer, contrary to popular belief, has nothing to do with how big your audience is. It has to do with how engaged your audience is. The companies who are interested in you now don't follow followers as much as they follow engagement because that's where the sales come from, blah, blah, blah. And in the end, you say, isn't it time you learn some authentic growth tactics instead of all the crap that you've been taught so far by Instagram gurus? PM me to start today. Mic drop. You just made a great sales post on social media without being salesy or sleazy at all. So you, let's see, who do we have here? We have Anna. Let's take Anna. How would Anna create this? So for those of you who don't know, Anna Thompson is a realtor. She's starting a realtor revolution. She's one of my one-on-one clients. We've done some awesome work together already. And she, right now, her goal is to get realtors on board so she can coach them into how to use authentic tactics to close deals by focusing on relationships and not transactions. How amazing is that? Applause for Anna. So she would write, everyone is talking about how easy it is to become higher paid realtor. Guess what? You're wrong, and here's why. Did you know that 80% of realtors are freaking broke? That's right. In the city where I live, there's 3,000 realtors and there's only this many that are profitable and making anything over $50,000 per year. Blah, 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 blah. Isn't it time you learned how to authentically grow as a realtor by using the right tactics and focusing on relationships instead of transactions? Well, shoot me a message and you can start today with my help. Boom. So there you go. Again, a fantastic post that is both controversial, so you're polarizing, which means you're gonna really draw the right people, really put off the wrong ones. Always a good thing because they leave and leave space for the good ones. And you will maybe make some sales because you have people contacting you. Here's something you guys, I want you guys to remember. It's one of the little tricks that I have. And don't say to people, hey, shoot me a comment if you're interested. Because if nobody shoots you a comment, that looks really bad. Always say comment or shoot me a message. Just FYI. Next, the storytelling post. This is a post I came up with really quickly, so don't judge me. When I was 13, I only saw my dad a couple of times per week because he was always working. When we did see each other, he always said the same thing, and his words are still echoing in my head to this day. Blah, blah, share a story from your childhood and then say, don't be the parent who never comes home. This is for Donna, by the way. Donna, this is very good for you. I think I was thinking of you as I was writing it. Don't be the parent who never comes home. I have 2 slots open for 2 people who want to leave the 9-to-5 grind and start their own business. PM me. So the goal here is to share a powerful story, an emotional story from your past or present, who knows, and then use it to make a point that drives people to the sale, that drives people to working with you. All right, let me know how you guys are feeling. We'll definitely go a little bit over time because I don't want to cut this too short. I want to give everything to you. Yeah, Donna, you should definitely use that. Next, the testimonial post. A very simple one, very, very simple. For those of you who don't use testimonials in case studies, here's what I did. And the person who taught me that is called Mitch Miller. You should definitely follow him if you haven't yet. I have an album in my Facebook wall, you're welcome, Donna, called Testimonials. It has a humorous subtitle. And then in this album, it's a photo album, I upload tons of testimonials from people. But what most of you guys, well, not you guys, but what most entrepreneurs think is, oh, to get a testimonial, I need to ask people for, a post or video. It takes so much time, so I'm just going to postpone it. No. I screenshot all the nice things people say about me on any platform, and then I put it in that album online. So I've literally screenshotted people that said, oh my God, this is like the Tony Robbins of the branding world. And then I've screenshotted people on BBS saying, oh my God, Des, this is incredible. I literally just doubled my sales this month with this method you just shared with us. So I screenshot all these things and I share them in my testimonial album and I post them. And people see this every single day. Every single day when I add a photo, my audience is reminded of basically how awesome I am and what people think about me. Really powerful. If you want to turn this into a whole post, then you can say, in the past month, 2 of my clients doubled their income by using blah, blah, blah. My course, this is if you're selling a course. My course, blah, blah, shows you the exact strategies my clients use to multiply their income in the span of a month. Follow the comments to grab it. And then in one of the comments, you put the link to your course. This is how I sold this webinar. This is how you guys joined me here, by the way, if you remember. So this is a very simple strategy. I've made a lot of course sales this way. I do this in my Facebook group a lot, the Social Media Badass Academy. And it always leads to sales if you have a big enough audience. Now, the pre-launch post. This is one of my favorite things. I love working with my one-on-one clients to create course outlines and then to create, yay, love it, Anna. And then to create like the pre-launch and launch strategy for that course. So we create a whole week or 10 days worth of content that is aimed to lead to the launch of their course or program. This post is part of that strategy. So I suggest that every single one of you who is thinking of creating a course to post this. And it goes, if I were to create a course going through, let's say you're a marketing strategist. If I were to create a course going through all of the essential marketing strategies you need to implement in your business right now, who would be interested in checking it out? Boom. What you do then is, there will be people who comment, there always are. What you do then is you make a list of all of these people, and when you do launch your course or program, you tag them in there because they just gave you their permission by saying they want to check it out. That is the only way when it's allowed to really tag people in your stuff, because these people are going to expect it and they're going to be grateful for it. You're welcome, Sean. We're not done yet. Almost, but not yet. All right. Then we got the process post. So the process post comes after the pre-launch post. So you can actually create a sequence out of this, and this. We got a pre-launch post, if I were to create a course. Now we got a process post. Oh my gosh, so many of you asked me about a course on marketing strategies. So guess what? I listened to you guys and the course will be out soon. Let me know in the comments if you want me to tag you when it's up for pre-order. Again, make a list of the new people who respond and tag them in the actual post. All right, so we got pre-launch, process, so that they know you. This post accomplishes two things. Number one, your audience feels special because you listened to them and you created a product based off of their needs and their desires. And it also obviously prepares you for a sale. The third one, pre-launch, process, launch. The launch post. Of course you need to do a launch post. So the final post of the pre-launch strategy that I always create for my clients is this one. So I recommend that you do it with a live video. This is the way to make the most sales. As what I do is when I launch a new course, I go live for 1 hour. Yes, it's 1 hour of your time, but it will make you money. I go live for 1 hour, during which time I'm consistently tapping the invite button. Remember, invite. I do it on my personal wall. And I say, gosh, it's finally here. Available for pre-order today. Get access to my new course, Marketing for Entrepreneurs, on the promo price now. And then go live on your Facebook group, go live on your personal profile. If you don't feel comfortable with that, then use your business page. I also do it on Periscope and on Instagram Live, because I like to, use all of my platforms to make sales when I'm launching something. Plus, your audience will be thankful for it, because many of them just don't know about your course, and that's the only reason why they haven't bought it. Remember that. So yeah, I go live and I use this as a title, and then I give them the link to the course in the comment section. If I'm in my group or my business page, I put it inside the video description because that's allowed. It's not allowed on your personal wall. So you have a whole sequence here: pre-launch, process, launch post. And that, my friends, was the entire strategy I used for selling. Would you recommend posting in groups? No, not in this case. What I would recommend posting in groups is doing market research. For example, what is the best course on marketing you've ever bought if you're a marketing strategist? Or have you ever invested in a course on marketing strategies? These are the type of questions you can ask in groups, but never ever talk about your own course unless you have an agreement with your with the group admin. So I have a few people who allow me to sell in their groups and vice versa. I absolutely recommend doing that. So now that we're done with the sales part, I want to walk you through a very simple way of repurposing content, because I know you guys get very overwhelmed when it comes to creating content for all platforms. So let's get into this a little bit. So the one question you need to ask yourself when it comes to repurposing, when it comes to content, is what is the beginning point of your content? Where does your content start? Which means, what is the first piece? What is your favorite type of content to create? Do you love writing blog posts? Do you love doing a podcast? Do you love live videos? Or do you just love writing posts on your Facebook feed? Because what you love the most will be your starting point. You need to be enjoying this one. So think about what content do you enjoy the most creating? Video, writing, or audio? And start there. So let's say your favorite type of content is writing a blog post. Here's what you can do. You can take that blog post and turn it into a podcast. Let's say you wrote a blog post on the 5 steps you need to take to rebrand yourself. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, boom. Then the podcast could be you interviewing somebody who's gone through a rebranding and asking them what steps they took. Boom. Then you can create a live video basically talking about the blog post and asking people about their opinion. You can create a lead magnet for it. You can create a slideshow, an infographic, a YouTube video. You can write a freaking book chapter based off of that blog post just by expanding it. You can take bits and pieces of that blog post and turn it into an entire email sequence for your audience by expanding a little bit into each email. And you can turn it into a Facebook group discussion by saying, hey guys, so what do you think are the 5 steps you need to take to rebrand yourself? And when they answer, you give them the link to your blog post in the comments and say, here's what I do. Right? Let me see your questions. So Desiree asks, what about in your own group? Some people recommend that you sell in your group, others recommend you don't. Of course you should sell in your group. I cannot believe people are saying you should not be selling in your own group. The very reason you have a group is to make impact and to make an income. This is your community. These are the people who trust you the most. These are the people who would buy whatever it is that you're selling. Obviously not all of them. But if you don't sell in your group, that literally means you're doing your community a disservice. So you've gathered this community here and they trust you and they respect you and they see you as an authority. And then you launch your products elsewhere. That tells them that they're not special to you. The very reason I always launch BBS and all my courses and programs in my group is because they are part of my community and they need to be the first ones who have access to my paid products. I always give them a promotional price. I tell them, guys, this is just for you. In the next